Good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to week 30, the final week of SATAL, pitting RVE versus SF in a pivotal match for Group B. Joel, you're usually the one looking at the standings. Do you know how this will all shake out depending on who wins this match? I know RVE stands a chance, if they win, to possibly take first, and if they lose, they stand to drop all the way back down to fourth.
Correct. Right now, I believe they're currently in fourth in Group B with a KD ratio of 1.15. They're coming up against InSky with a good record, also 3-1-1-0. So if they can beat SF today with a good enough KD ratio, there's a chance they could pass InSky in first place, I believe. But I'm not sure what the exact math on that KD ratio is, what they would need to come out with today to be able to pull that off. I just know that they need to have a substantial difference there in the amount of kills versus death in order to be able to pull that off. But it would certainly seem like there's a possibility.
Yeah, I agree with that. And guys, if you want to keep track of the stats with both the teams and the players and the pilots, go head over to the merge, which is the link that I just linked. It's a breakdown of all the schedules, how the teams are doing, how the players are doing. There's some issues on the players' side. For whatever reason, the database between the teams and the players isn't jiving too well together, so take that with a grain of salt. We're going to try and fix that after this particular week's match, since the league play is going to come to an end. But check out the merge for all of the stats. And we'll go ahead and jump right into this. So let's jump into the action. We can hear the team spooling. It's going to be primarily an F-15 matchup today. If we look at what the pilots are actually taking, we've got 5 F-15s coming from RVE with a single Su-27, and then 4 F-15s for SF. A single J-11, and Capsu, the man himself, is flying Lone Wolf F-18. So the AIM-9X is banned in this particular scenario, but the F-18 could very well still be a potent force in this given situation. So looks like the teams are taxiing. Joel, what do you think? I know I do this week in and week out, but how do you think this week's match is going to shake out? It's pivotal between both teams. It's a must-win for both.
Well, I definitely, both of these teams, from what I have been able to view this season, definitely know how to bring it, and there's decent tactics, seemingly between both squads. I feel like we're going to get ourselves, I can't make guarantees we're going to get what we got last week. Last week was definitely one of the more entertaining ones I've called or watched so far. So hopefully we can get something close to that, and we can get some nice action in there. I really like the fact that we're seeing a Hornet get brought into the mix in the final week of this whole thing here. Maybe a little bit of a show of what's to come next year when we see possibly more Hornets get brought in, with the Hornet, making its way further down the development pipeline. But I really think that RVE is I get the feeling they're going to do what they need to do to put themselves in a good position today.
So Vitor asks, how is the AIM-7? And I'm assuming you're asking how is the AIM-7 in context of SATAL. It's okay. It's still lackluster in comparison to something like an ER, or the 120B is still marginally better performance-wise, and I think it's, given that the 120B is inactive, it's obviously still much better than the AIM-7. I think it's more effective than it was previously, but it is still... Oh, sorry guys. It is still not very effective as a missile. Obviously, in a situation where maybe if it was against like a 27R or something on the Russian side, obviously it's going to take a very pronounced position in being the better missile in comparison to those two. But in comparison to everything else, it's an okay missile. It's not very good in the environment of SATAL because of the things it's competing against, but what can you do? So just watching these guys taxi. SF primarily at F-15s with the 4F Eagles taking the lead. Singleton, J-11, and the Hornet, which is waiting short, Capsu, in his what looks to be aggressor camo there.
Now, I'm going to have to assume with the use of the Hornet, we're seeing a GCI on that side. You just would have to assume to be sure of what you're firing at and what you're shooting. You got somebody above you verifying all that stuff. At least with the current state of the Hornet.
Well, I would assume that's going to be the case for SF. SF was one of the primary contributors in trying to get us to use LOT ATC before SATAL came into fruition. So they really push in all of the different servers. 104, Blue Flag, they've asked Siri Bob for stuff. They really want LOT ATC because they're a firm believer in the LOT ATC environment in comparison to the normal combined arms that is provided with the module and DCS itself.
I would have to agree with them. I spent some time in there this week. We're using LOT ATC on something I'm working on, and it's definitely an amazing piece of software for those who haven't tried it. If you haven't ever taken some time and tried to learn the role of GCI or use something like that, I highly recommend it because it's a lot of fun when you get down into it. And it's an important part of what we do. I think the more people that get out there and try to learn how to GCI, the better we all are as a DCS community.
I agree with that. I agree that it is an awesome tool. We're debating on whether we're going to use something like AWACS or anything next year for SATAL, just to try and throw something different out here. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But how do you see this match unfolding? I think SF versus RVE, I think I might give the edge initially to SF, just because I think they have more experience. They have more of a tradition in competitive air-to-air combat in the DCS arena. They have more years of experience. I think that RVE, though they're a solid squadron, is a relative newcomer to the competitive environment. They weren't in SATAC, at least I don't think they were, so this is really their first time back. RVE is a very old squadron. They were back in the 504 days and stuff, so I'm sure they have a history of competitive play, but as of recently there hasn't been much. So what do you think, given my opinion on SF having the edge, what is your opinion on how this is going to shake out, and how do you think these teams balance out in this particular matchup?
Just looking at what we're seeing as far as aircraft, it seems like we have ourselves a decent matchup just based on the performance of the individual aircraft. We all know, we talk about this quite a bit here. It boils down to the true quality of the pilots, and I think we're going to get a really interesting showing of that today between these two teams, just based on the fact that we're seeing a bunch of F-15s here. So these guys are all working in roughly the same parameters for what they're looking for and what their zone to try to get in, to try to get that shot off. So I think just based on that alone, we could see some interesting merges and just individual matchups one-on-one here. But once again, I think it's going to be curious. I'm curious what the formations are going to be. I think at this point, we all know I love to kind of, make my predictions based upon what formations these guys are coming off the deck in, and we're about to see that now.
Well, another thing that I'd like to shed some light on is we have very limited numbers of flankers. So we've got a single J-11 on the SF side, and we have a single Su-27 on the RVE side. So given that they're not completely absent from this matchup, I saw that the SF pilot in the J-11 is carrying 2 ETs. Do you think those long-range IR missiles, the 27 ET, given that it's clear skies, is going to play any particular role during today?
I would be foolish to think it wouldn't, because I've been bit by that thing enough times to know how potent it can be in this arena. So I would have to think that certainly is going to play a role at some point. I think we should try to keep a lookout for when those do come off the rails, because it very well may be, lead to a crucial moment in the match here.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to think that they're going to play a huge role, especially because we have clear skies. The matchup location today is Vody versus Maycop, so it's essentially completely flat.
That's fair.
So
I didn't really factor that in there.
The ability of the pilots to maintain situational awareness without land obstacles and without weather impairing their vision, in my opinion, is going to play a role in the ability for these pilots to be able to spot missiles, especially the smoked missiles that are coming off the rails of those flankers.
Agreed there. And then you're looking at easily 45-50 mile drive extend southward to even get close to some mountainous terrain, so it doesn't look like they're going to be able to use that at all today, so that certainly should be a factor as well here.
Yeah, Major Havoc says no TAC view stream today. Havoc, no, unfortunately we're not doing TAC view for the reason that last week it was causing issues for me, and the issues it's causing is that whenever I go full screen in DCS, it pauses the TAC view stream, and because of that, I have to run DCS in windowed mode, and I don't get the same performance, and I get a lot of screen tearing because I can't use NVIDIA's VSync, and the in-game VSync isn't nearly as good as NVIDIA's, so it greatly impairs the stream view that you guys get. So I figure the stream view is more important than TAC view. We're trying to find a workaround for that. I may have Joel do it when the tournament starts, but no TAC view today, unfortunately. Live stream. We'll be redoing the TAC views after the particular rounds, but no live stream. So just watching these guys ingress in. Looks like SF is still a tight group, whereas RVE has already separated into 3-2 ships. We have Daxter cover now, leading the way with Snowman and Seal in the middle, and Tito and Veritech bringing up the rear. And something I'd like to point out on the RVE side is there is an absence, and I know we pick on Microvax a lot, but Microvax, there is no Baguette on the RVE side, and he's really the only one flying the Mirage. I think, no, there were some Mirages last week in the TAW match, so I can't really say that. But
there was a pair.
There is an absence of the Mirage on the RVE side, which is unusual for them.
Well, being a Hornet guy, as I am myself, I'm excited to see how it fares in competition today. So I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on Capsu, hoping he has himself some success with that guy, because I'd like to see more of that.
Just watching these guys ingress. SF, I think, SF is now separating into 3-2 ships. So both teams taking a very basic approach of your typical tried and true 2-ship formations. They're separating into 3-2 ships. So we already went over the RVE side. Now on the SF side, we have Bushmani and Sneur leading the way. Razor and Ocelot in trail. And Capsu, and I have no idea how to... Is it Uloli?
It looks like it. I'm trying to get my eyes on it now.
Maybe one of you guys can correct me in the stream on how to pronounce his name.
No one's pulling any tricks this morning, so it looks these two groups are headed square at each other right now for what looks to be a classic showdown here. Yeah,
there's no team is taking offsets. They're not sending a group or a singleton off to the north or south, so it's very traditional here, head-to-head combat. Harley Bob, yeah, there's no DCS World 2 event stream today. There's no live TAC view stream, as I addressed with Havoc earlier. We took it down because it was having performance issues on the main stream. So hopefully it'll be back up for the tournament, but no live TAC view today.
Yeah, we should be able to get that up and running for you guys next time. We'll work through the issues there, no problem.
Vitor, no AIM 9X for the Hornet. Look at this as like a early 90s loadout for the two.
I can't wait to see the Tomcat.
Oh, you have no idea. No idea how excited I am for the Tomcat to come in. So,
oh man,
I'm looking at the Hornet. It's so unusual to see that in DCS, not DCS, in SATAL, because Capsu's really the only one that flies it.
Yeah. This is my first time watching it in combat on here, and is this his first time flying it on here? Or he has flown it previously?
He has flown it before, and he does have some kills to his name in the Hornet. So this isn't
interesting.
This isn't unprecedented for him.
And the Hornet's probably improved substantially since his last time in competition with it. So hopefully that works to his advantage then.
So teams and everything today is going to be a metric today, ladies and gentlemen. Separation's now down to 53 kilometers, and there is separation coming from SF. And it looks like RVE is now separating as well, as Snowman and Cover now look to be moving into a trail position in comparison to the rest of the formation.
Yeah, strange way they peeled off there, but it seems like they're getting in position to cover each other. Looks like Daxter is headed for Capsu and his wingman and trail Yoli.
And we could see some isolated...
I'm smelling a shot out
some
here
RVE
soon.
guys become isolated because Daxter and Seal are now becoming separated from one another, and it looks like Cover now is reforming into a Stinger. So RVE looks to be taking a page out of the 51st book and is reforming into what looks to be a Stinger, where you've got a two-ship spread in the lead with a singleton trail in the back. So the question is are they able to stay disciplined to make this formation work? It looks like Cover now and Seal are now extending. Daxter pressed a little bit further, but then thought better of it and is now extending with the rest of his three-ship. If we look...
Yep,
Go ahead.
They seem to be moving decently around to cover each other at the moment. It's tight. Everything's very tight, and for what they're trying to pull off here, I feel like everyone's pulling this off over a very small area, which usually we see groups like CNF pull this off over a much wider area.
And if we look at the SF side, their three-ship to the north is now extending. But to the south, we can see that Snewart and Bushmani are both keeping the press on, going head-to-head against Veritek and Tito. So Veritek puts a Fox 3 off. I would assume that's on Snewart. And he's got to be careful of that 120 that's being foxed on him. He may be in trouble as that thing's still tracking him. Is it going to hit him? It looks like it did.
Whoa.
So he just got in a little too late, was a little too lax on that defensive maneuver, and Snewart gets credited with the first kill, a 120B taking down Veritek down here on the south side of this engagement zone.
I said to myself, it looks like he's holding on a little bit too long there, and sure enough, he was not able to pull away from that thing quick enough.
Flyboy asks, why am I using metric? The only reason I'm using metric is because I forgot to change it. I'll try and remember to change it after the next round. So Bushmani is now singleton in hot for SF, while Snowman and Tito press in from the northwest on him. If we look up here to the north, nothing's going on up here to the north between Cover now, Daxter, Yoli, Ocelot, and Capsu. So the main engagement is down here to the south of the AO.
Looks like SF holding very good position. RVE now broken up into two different groups, and they're trying to get back into what looks like something similar to what they had before they lost that fighter.
What do you think happened there with Veritek during that engagement?
It just looked like he didn't go evasive quick enough. Like he held on just a little bit too long there. Maybe he was trying to get his missile into Pitbull. I'm not sure.
Well, in my opinion, what I think happened there is a lot of times pilots, when they get foxed on before they go defensive, they always have that mindset of, I'm going to get that one missile off. I just got to lock him. I got to get into the best launch parameter as I can for my missile, try and give it a high PK shot. And what I think ends up happening is you wait a little bit too long trying to get that lock to get in there, trying to make it so that you can get that missile off and fox it off the rail, and then you end up defending too late, and then you just eat it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Knowing when to fold them is certainly part of it here. That is, I think, one of the bigger trademarks of some of the better players. They do know when to call it and when to fire.
So everybody's pretty lax here. Tito looks like he got in a little deep. Razor's turned back in hot against him. So we've got a Su-27 of Razor coming in on the 6 of Tito. Razor's thought better of it. He may just be regrouping down here with Bushmani and Snewart. I'm not sure what's going on, but SF is playing very relaxed. SF is usually hugely aggressive, but they're playing much more chill at the moment.
I really feel like you can see the mark of there being 2 GCIs involved with this match, just in the way these planes are moving. Everyone seems to know, for the most part, I'm watching guys extend when they need to and being smart about not pushing into a situation here, which tells me the GCI is doing a pretty good job of keeping these guys corralled where he needs them.
So we may see an engagement between Seal and Bushmani. Seal puts a 120B on Bushmani from 16 kilometers. Bushmani, he's defending. I thought he wasn't defending, was maintaining hot, but he is split S-ing. That missile should effectively be dead. Up to the north, we still don't have a lot going on. Razor puts an ET on Daxter. Does Daxter know it's coming? He doesn't see it. He's in a slight bank to the right, so he's not going to see that missile trail. Is it going to have the energy to get to him? No.
It doesn't feel like it. It looks like it's going to be about 10. Maybe a little less than that short, a few miles.
Yeah, that's not going to be...
Lots of missiles out here in the last minute or so, I feel like. These guys are kind of running through them here.
So nothing really going on here.
Yeah, a lot of fireworks to start off, and then I think things have kind of slowed now. We're seeing a little bit more defensive play here.
Well, we do. If we look up to the north with SF, we do see them regrouping. Uloli, Ocelot, and Kapsu have formed what looks to be a 3-ship up here to the north. Razor is heavily isolated in the center, and then we have the 2-ship of Snur and Bushmani down here to the south. And over on the RVE side, we have Tito and Seal down here to the south. Tito and Snur are now exchanging. Snur puts a 120B on Tito, and Tito puts an ER back at him. Tito looks to be okay defending that 120B. I think he's going to have more than enough energy to get away from that. Indeed, he does. And then to the north of RVE, we have Snowman, Cover Now, and Daxter in a loose 3-ship up here to the northwest. But again, very defensive postures coming from both teams. Nobody really wants to get into the crapper yet.
Now, there's about a 6 to 7 mile area that is almost a no man's zone for the most part, although Bushmani right now seems to be pushing across into that without very much help at all. And here's a shot out from him and
but immediately Bushmani goes defensive after he gets that 120B off the rail, so that missile is going to be a no factor, and Seal does the exact same on the opposite side of the coin. So Tito, after Seal extends, is now bringing it in hot, and I wonder, since he's in a 27 here, if he's trying to get somebody in here with Erst and get Bushmani to recommit, thinking that nobody's behind him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was curious. Bushmani really put himself into a risky position there. If Tito had gotten spun around a little bit sooner, he could have been in trouble.
$120B coming off the rail for Snowman on Ocelot, and again, Ocelot immediately goes defensive. And I think another thing that we're seeing here is the engagement between the two teams is slowly descending out of the high altitude lower into the weeds, which, if I remember last time SF flew, they flew against InSky in almost this exact situation, though it was stormy weather, and the same thing happened. Initially, the battle was really defensive, and then all of a sudden, it was like somebody flipped a switch, and it was balls to the wall, low altitude dogfights going on below the cloud deck, guns. I think Kapsu and an F-15 or somebody went mano-a-mano, and the whole match ended up in a tie because they ended up killing each other in a gunfight.
I do recall that now. I definitely recall that. It was quite the entertaining matchup.
And Ocelot looks like he's in trouble, but he's dragging smartly towards Razor, and I don't know that Cover Now is going to see that ET coming off the rails. He's really lax as he... sorry, that's Snowman.
Ooh, 2 120s out on Cover Now.
And Cover Now is in a world of trouble. He's really close. Ooh. I saw the ET missed him. Oh, and he eats the 120. So he just got in there a little too deep. Ocelot gets really low to try and defend those missiles in the trees and drags in a Razor. And Razor says, you're not shooting down my buddy, and puts an ET that forces Cover Now to go defensive. And then Ocelot's able to recommit and put the 120Bs in to finish Cover Now off.
Ocelot put 2 off the rails there. He was really trying to get that one. He knew he had the distance there to close that, and was not going to miss there, that's for sure.
So we may see a head-on engagement between Tito and Snur, or Tito and Bushmani. But hey, we also may see an engagement between Seal and Razor, or Snowman and Razor here to the center.
Yeah, the distances are starting to close now with the two-man advantage. You get the feeling SF's going to start to turn the pressure up a little bit here. Maybe push a little bit more aggressively than they have been.
So I thought we were going to see an engagement between Razor and Snowman and Seal, but it looks like Razor thought better of it. Maybe his GCI said, hey, don't push in there too deep. And Razor decides that he's going to turn cold and rejoin with the friendlies.
Credit to RVE, though, right now, playing very good position. Position-wise, they're spread out right now. Everyone seems to be in a position where they can relatively cover one another, and same for SF.
With the exception of Daxter. Daxter is really isolated up here to the north against Yoli, and I wish he would regroup, and maybe he looks like he's doing that, would regroup with the rest of the other RVE squad. So RVE is now down to 4 pilots. SF still maintaining a full 6 ship. If we look down here to the south, Bushmani looks to be pressing in down here to the south against Seal and Tito.
Not sure why Yoli's still extending to the north. He is putting himself well out of position right now, and although it's not as if SF necessarily needs him at the moment, this is certainly to RVE's benefit. They basically a 5v4 at the moment with Yoli extending that far.
Now, Bushmani was on Tito, but it looks like he's picked up Seal. And we may see a head-on engagement here coming between Seal and Bushmani. Bushmani puts a 120B off the rail and immediately split S's. And Seal, getting the pitbull warning from that 120 or seeing the missile launch, thinks better of it and turns cold. If we look here into the center, Snowman puts an aim 7. We can see how slow that missile is as soon as it comes off the rail on Razor. And Razor, already cold, knows that missile is going to be a complete non-factor.
Might we have SF starting to come around the back here with Yoli coming now back down, extending south, looking to almost slip behind the line here and possibly sneak up on some of these RVE guys who seem to be very focused dealing with the other 5.
Don't see any chaff coming off Capsule. Does he know that missile's coming? Is he going to be able to notch it?
Looks like he sees it.
I think he's going to be able to. I think he's going to be fine in that F-18.
Deedle.
Indeed he is. That missile went straight into the ground. And we're still seeing a pretty defensive approach. Nobody's getting into a merge. Everybody's just defending late. And that's why we're seeing these splashes coming from the RV. It's just simply because of late defensive maneuvers. So RV, we got the 2 flankers going head-to-head. ER is being exchanged between the 2. ER going on Razor. He immediately breaks the lock. He's dragging that ER now. Don't think it's going to be a problem. He's low enough that that missile should lose him in the ground clutter. We can see it detonating behind him.
And SF has smartly pulled Snur and Yoli to the flanks here and keeping them in the wings should the 4 guys in the middle not be able to handle the job.
But Razor and Tito, again, going head-to-head. And we've got a long-range 73 coming off the rails. Tito puts a couple flares out. You better drop more. 73's coming off from Tito now. He's clean. Does he go radar off to try and fool Bushmani? I think he did. So Bushmani thinks he's clear, thinks he's line of sighted Tito here. Oh, he line of sighted Tito again. And I think he's going to come over this hill here momentarily. There he is. And Bushmani, as soon as he comes over that hill, I don't know how that happened, eats a 73. That thing must have surely been line of sighted.
And I'll tell you what, I just did a little run through here. Not more than 3 missiles left on any one aircraft I came across.
So as you said, it looks like both teams are starting to run out of munitions. Kruberex, what is an ER? An ER is a Russian missile. It's a 27 ER. It's a medium-range, semi-active guided missile that the Su-27s and the J-11s carry. So Bushmani puts a either a 120B or an AIM-7 down there on one of the RVE guys and gets an effective splash. So he's now head-to-head with Tito.
No one necessarily in a position to back up Bushmani there. Ocelot close.
And Bushmani may be in a world of hurt here against Tito. He puts what I think is an AIM-9 off. Need to see flares coming from Tito. Another AIM-9, I think, coming off the rails against Tito. More flares, and Tito is in a hugely advantageous position. Oh, but almost a guns kill coming from Bushmani there. And we've got our first merge, ladies and gentlemen, between Tito and a Su-27 and Bushmani and an F-15. And Bushmani taking the top around, gets around way quicker than Tito. And Tito's in a world of hurt as they come through for the second pass here on this merge between SF and RVE. Looks like they're getting around at about similar times here. Can you keep track of maybe if either one of these guys is going to get jumped by a teammate as we go in here?
Watching Bushmani.
They both get around about the same time. The question is, guns hits on both aircraft. So I think we got a trade there, and the Bushmani eats what I can assume is an AIM-9.
Yep. Well, this has certainly turned into a match here. Now a 2v3, 2v4, pardon me.
Snower's sitting off here to the southeast by himself.
Now, I'm really questioning whether pulling Yoli and Snore was a smart decision or a foolish one that's led to them losing a few more aircraft in the process. However, still have good numbers and still look like they're in the position to take this one.
So just watching Ocelot below over the ground. He lost track of Snowman. So Ocelot is isolated in what looks to be a 2v1 against Daxter and Snowman, but Ocelot has two friendlies coming in from the north, Yoli and Capsu, on a southbound heading, trying to sandwich Daxter and Snowman between this three-ship of SF.
Tall order for Snowman and Daxter right now. But I'll tell you what, this would be one for the ages if they could pull this off.
Well, it's a tall order because they're getting attacked from multiple directions. So we'll have to see how SF orchestrates this, and if Snowman and Daxter are able to orchestrate on their end where they attack together in a single direction. In my opinion, what I would do is isolate Ocelot if they can, kill him, and then re-engage the two ships to the north.
Daxter certainly has himself an arsenal. It looks like 4+ missiles left on him, but Snowman, on the other hand, looks like just 2 AIM-9s left. So they have the ammunition to certainly be able to pull this off.
And we've got a head-to-head engagement between Daxter and Ocelot may be in trouble here. That 120B may have had more than enough energy to get to him, but he is very low and may be able to lose him in the ground cutter, and no. That 120B says hello and rams it right up his tailpipe. So Snowman now head on with Yoli, and he's in a world of trouble. That AIM-9 pops him, but he's still up. So now they're merged here.
And then Capsu coming in to back up Yoli right now. Question is can he make it there in time? Because they are certainly dancing.
Saw a couple guns hits on Snowman. And Snowman's in a very bad position against his opposition. I think he's lost track of Yoli on his 6.
Yeah, certainly does not look like he's catching him, but Yoli is definitely putting out some smoke from those engines right now.
And a 120B coming off the rail from Capsu. And I think this is all she wrote for Snowman. Or did he notch it? I think he notched it.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it looks like it.
But now he's got Capsu all over his 6.
Yeah, he's certainly running. The question is can Daxter make it there? Daxter's got all the weapons in this fight, so he needs backup as soon as possible.
So now Snowman's eating an AIM-9, but he's still up. We saw Capsu do the flyby.
Excellent flying on a Snowman here to fend off two F-15 or an F-15 and an F-18
well,
at the moment.
He did get hit by an AIM-9. So in all accounts, he should be dead. But well, he is.
Doesn't that have something to do with the proximity in which that thing detonates?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe he shouldn't be dead. By all accounts, Yoli should be dead too, but he may be out of fuel. As we see him stalling down there.
Yeah, you have to think
I think his engines are out. Yep, Yoli just crashed. But Capsu's still up. Guns kill, guns. Well, I don't know if it was a kill yet, but it looks to have been one.
And it's now Capsu versus Daxter, the only two remaining fighters.
So RVE somehow has turned this around. I don't know how this happened, but Daxter and Capsu head to head, and Capsu's in a huge disadvantage here because he doesn't have any missiles remaining. At least I don't think he does.
And it looks like Daxter is damaged, significantly damaged, at least missing the nose cone. And you have to think that Capsu is going to be on the lower end of the fuel here. Aim 9, oh, that was a 120.
But Daxter's in trouble here as the F8. Oh, immediately Capsu capitalizes on that advantage of Daxter putting himself in a very exposed position, and Capsu pounces all over it. Guns kill, rips the wing off of Daxter, and that's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. Capsu coming out on top. Multiple guns kills with that F-18. And now the question is does he have the fuel to RTB? I would assume so.
Yeah, you got to think he had to have gone through a decent bit of what he had there, but he has roughly 70 miles to go here. So what's his altitude right now? He's looking at Angels 9, trying to climb and buys himself a little more here, cruising at about 439 knots too. So wow, I'll tell you what, that turned into one hell of a match.
It did. And this is what happened against InSky. Like I said earlier, it was just really lackluster going into it. The teams, not lackluster's the wrong word, very defensive from both teams going into that. And then it just devolves into this slugfest with both teams trading punches. And this is the same thing that happened with InSky. And I think it was Capsu during that engagement too. Maybe it was Farrago. I think it may have been Farrago. But it just came down to guns on both sides. And the last kills ended up being guns kills because both pilots didn't have anything. And I think during that one, Daxter actually had an aim 7 and an aim 9, but he just either didn't see Capsu coming into that engagement or thought he didn't have a decent enough firing solution to put him in a position where he was going to get the kill.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with that assessment of it. I think RVE did one hell of a job of showing some resiliency there. They were down that entire time. They were outnumbered almost from relatively close into that first matchup. I believe they lost their first fighter within the first couple minutes of the match, and then remained down a guy at least at every stage throughout that matchup. You know, and almost pulled it off there in the end. That was impressive.
But the other thing that I think is impressive is seeing the instant AOA that the F-18 is able to produce. And it was Capsu was able to smash that nose around on that F-15 of Daxter's, and it was no chance after the initial there. And granted, Daxter put himself in a pretty exposed position, turning right, trying to make that a two-circle fight, it looked like, but Capsu saw that, capitalized it, turned and made it a one circle, and it was over from that point.
You have to think too, Daxter may have had some maneuverability issues. He was pretty roughed up there.
That is a good point. That is a good point. So he may have not have had a HUD. He may have not have been able to, get a seeker tone with his aim 9, or sort his use the radar to lock with his aim 7.
Interesting. But I'm certainly happy to see the Hornet come out of it on top on that one. That was interesting.
And it doesn't look like Capsu has any fuel issues, as he's in full gate RTB right now. He went through Mach 1. So we'll use this time to catch up on some follows. Vitor, Shindog, Cutlass, Juza, and Uag9 or UWG9. Thanks for the follows, guys. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Harley, again, we don't have a live tac view today, buddy. We're just, we have some issues with it, and I elected to not put it up today. We're going to try and fix that during the break between now and the start of the tournament. So hopefully we can have it back up.
Make that file available to everyone to at least be able to go look through it themselves after the match, right?
We do.
Cool.
So just watching Capsu RTB. Joel, what do you think would you have liked to see come from both teams during that? How could they have played that better?
I think tactics, as far as what I could tell, was performed pretty well. From a top-down perspective, it certainly seemed like there was a lot of composure, guys extending when they needed to be. People seemed like they were listening to their GCIs and doing as they were instructed, because from what I could tell, the GCIs had a pretty good grip on both of their squads there and were able to position them for the most part where they wanted them to. I would have liked to have seen RVE possibly come out a little bit more defensive in the early. I feel like they pushed a little bit too close there towards the south, and they lost that first guy, and then it was a little bit of kind of reconfiguring from there. And it seemed like once that happened, SF immediately positioned guys a little differently. It may have been after their second kill that they moved a guy south, they moved a guy north, and let the 4 guys in the middle start trying to work. Now, whether that ended up prolonging the match because it evened things up for RVE is certainly debatable, but I think having those 2 guys on the outside ready to come in when needed certainly played a part into giving SF the advantage there.
Yeah, I think RVE's downfall there was just they were, throughout most of that match, they were too separated to be able to provide any type of mutual support with one another, and they got themselves into positions where it was just 1v1, and really you don't want to put yourself in a position where it's 1v1 unless you have some type of advantage and it's not a 50-50 fight. And most of those fights weren't even 50-50. They were, 30-70 or 40-60 in the favor of the SF opponent. So
Indeed.
Something strange to talk about is that Razor kill that we saw. That I don't know how that 73 maintained track on him. Maybe the view from the 73 it could see him, but it looked like, from my point of view, when we were riding along with Tito, that 73 effectively tracked Razor through the hill.
I see what you're saying there. Yeah, no, that was certainly an interesting matter. I'm curious to see what that looks like on the TAC view there.
So just watching Capsu RTB here. He's still at 70%. His engines are still on, so he's definitely not coasting. So he is okay still for the time being. We can see him slowing down.
Do you think we'll see any changes in formations or tactics heading into the second round?
I don't think so. Neither of these teams have really shown any habits of doing that in the past. They usually take a tried and true method of just doing what works.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So still just watching Capsu. He's coming on to finals here. He's just going to do a straight-in approach on to Voti.
Well, hopefully we get a second round like that. That was quite entertaining. And certainly some good views there. Some
just
really
watching
cool looking kill.
Just watching him RTB, and this is random, but I kind of want to go back and look at what DCS 1.5 looks like, since I've become so used to what 2.5 looks like, and just compare and contrast the two. I just wonder how bad 1.5 looks. I mean, maybe it didn't. I seem to remember 1.5 looked halfway decent.
Having never have really played anything before 2.5, I've looked at some screenshots from 1.5, and it certainly seems as if there's a decent difference. The lighting especially seems like it was greatly improved between 1.5 and 2.5.
Oh yeah, the lighting for sure.
Which at the end of the day, the lighting really does have those subtle little effects that sell you at the end of the day.
Capsu's now on finals, still at 70% engine RPM, so he's still not out of fuel. He should be okay. And as soon as he touches down, I'll grab the tac view and we'll reanalyze that as we get reset for round 2.
Pappy, it's there's a few things you want to pick up and kind of get situated, but aren't necessarily required to jump into DCS. The game's free, but you can look through the collection of modules DCS has and find one you might enjoy. But definitely worth checking out. DCS is a lot of fun to get into.
I wouldn't necessarily say the game is free. It's free to get into. The Su-25 and the T-51 are free, and the base terrain of the Caucasus, but you get in thinking, oh, this is going to be light on my wallet. There's not a lot that I'm going to spend money on. And then before you know it, you've built your own home cockpit, and you own all the modules, and you don't have any money.
Yep.
Because you're constantly thinking of, what else can I buy? What else can I make better? And it's an addiction.
It absolutely
so just be careful.
It really is the first module you learn well enough, and you're like, oh, well, now I know how to learn these, so I can just learn another one, and it really kind of starts opening the doors for you, and, with just one thing from another there. Next thing you know, like he was saying, you're broke, and you live inside your home cockpit.
Yeah, exactly. Your home motion simulator.
Exactly, in a van down by the river.
I wouldn't mind living in a van down by the river. I don't know what you're complaining about. So that was the end of round 1. Capsu puts it down on the deck. And SF, it got really close there at the end. It is able to capitalize and come out on top against RVE. And it came down to the wire. And I think I'm with a lot of chat here saying that I thought Daxter had that one. Going into that matchup.
Really did too.
I thought he had it.
I'll tell you what, I thought for a moment, for a decent portion, it looked like SF really had a hand on what was going on there. And then in probably the last 2 to 3 minutes of that matchup, it was anyone's game, and it went back and forth over who you thought was going to take that. That was quality stuff.
And I am just... Okay.
That's a very good point, DCS Toast. The crowd does love a gun kill, and we got 2 at the same time in that round.
We had several guns kills in that one. So let's jump to the TAC view here and have a look-see at what exactly went down. So, both teams played really defensive going into this match initially. Nothing really happened most of the time. This was our first kill. Where was our first kill? I'm missing somebody right here. Where's he at? There he is. Okay, so this is our first kill between Snur and Veritech. So initially going into this, I thought Veritech was going to be able to defend this well enough, but I think he didn't drop chaff or something going into this engagement, because, and I don't see him dropping chaff here now. He doesn't get into a notch. He thinks he's getting into a notch, but he's not quite there. So the missile tracks him through the whole thing, and I don't think he's slow enough. And the missile, it was launched close enough that it has enough energy to watch him through this particular maneuver, and he just eats it. He's not aggressive enough to try and defend this missile. So That's what happened there. And I think that was kind of the theme for a lot of this matchup between these two teams. So the next kill... Who was the next kill? I think it was Cover Now. Yeah,
that sounds
it was right
to
here.
me.
This is Cover Now. So let's look at what Cover Now sees here. So he's... How high is he? 1100. So he's decent. I mean, he's pretty low. Pretty sure this is Cover Now. And as he progresses in here, he tunnel visions onto Ocelot. At least I think that's what happens. Yeah, he tunnel visions onto Ocelot. And then I think Razor recommits. So then he sees Razor. And now he's in kind of an oh shit situation right here. This is his oh shit moment. I'm not on just Ocelot anymore. I'm on Razor. I have Razor too. So there's the ET coming off the rail. He goes defensive. And if we jump back to the main view here, he's in so close now that even though he goes defensive and he flares that ET, there's nothing he can do. He's just dead at that point. You're too close. You have to notch the 120B perfectly in order to be able to get away from it. And granted, they're not too hard to notch, but that's the only way you're going to get away from it unless you can line of sight it. And out here between Maycop and Vody, there's no terrain where you're going to be able to line of sight it unless you're down here to the south. So Cover Now gets dispatched. And we move on to the rest of the engagement. And this is where shit starts hitting the fan. So I think this is the engagement between Tito and Razor. And I want to watch... We're going to watch the engagement from here first. I'm going to try and get it from... See if I can get it in the correct ballpark here. So this was a pretty low engagement going in here. So Tito puts Razor on the defensive. I'm going to assume that he turns his radar off here. Yeah, he does. So there's no radar here. And then he picks him up again, or line of sight. And this is what I'm confused about. Is right here, if we jump into Razor's view, or Tito's view, he doesn't see Razor. So if we back up, this is the 73 coming off the rail right there. And it continues to track him. And I don't know how that ended up happening, because obviously we can see in the TAC view that we don't have line of sight to Razor, so we shouldn't be able to see him. You shouldn't get him in ERS. You shouldn't get him in radar. And I don't know if there was just some desync here, but we can see right here, you can see the 73 continuing to track, and we can't see Razor still. And I don't know what happened here. I'm going to chuck this one up to desync, but as soon as Razor comes up out of the hill, he eats that 73 and he's dead. So
yeah, that's strange.
I don't know what that was. That was bizarre. I'm chalking that up to desync.
Worth, asking one of those guys later on. Just
they're not going to know.
Yeah, that's fair point.
Because I wouldn't know either. So
yeah.
So the next engagement here, this is just straight up between Bushmani and Seal. And I don't know if this was like an altitude thing between these two. Yeah, maybe Seal just didn't see Bushmani coming in here because Bushmani's coming from a higher angle. But it's just... Seal just gets into too deep. Maybe he was tunnel visioned on somebody else or was thinking about other things and just gets in too deep and eats that 120 that he's not getting away from. So there was some altitude separation there, but well, Microvax, I know it's not the same, but even when we were in DCS, I couldn't see him either, and I was looking from Tito's view. Oh, you guys want me to back up and look at and real quick, I'm going to bring the server up.
Sure.
While we are waiting here. You want me to back up and look at Razor's view? Okay. Can look at Razor's view. So here's Razor's view. This is his initial push. Puts a 73 on him. This is where he goes defensive. And this is where he drops into this valley right here. So there is terrain. And I saw this on when we were watching from Tito's view in the actual match. And I couldn't see Razor. So I don't know how this 73 tracked him through this whole thing. So not entirely sure what happened. But I'll chalk it up to desync or DCS shenanigans, but whatever. So Bushmani kills Seal, and this is when shit really hits the fan, as Bushmani here gets popped by Snowman, and he's just... Or he's head-to-head with Tito now. Oh, this is where Tito and Bushmani trade guns kills. So, and then Snowman pops him with a 120B to finish him off. And this is when we start getting into the guns situation. So Snowman's able to run away from Daxter. Or from Ocelot. Daxter is able to kill, and this is one I don't think we saw, is able to kill... Who does he kill? Ocelot, and then he's also able to kill Snewer here in a head-to-head. And Snewer, I just was down to aim 7s. I don't know if Snewer had any 120Bs or aim 9s left. But if we look up here, we've got this merge between Snowman, Yoli, and Capsu. And Snowman, he just can't do anything about this one. And Yoli, having been hit previously, I think just ran out of fuel. He was leaking fuel, didn't have any fuel left, and he just ran out of fuel, stalled, and died. So now we're into the head-to-head between Daxter and Capsu. And I don't know that Daxter got hit. Maybe he did? I never saw him get hit.
He had no nose cone. I knew that because I couldn't see that on there. Daxter, I believe, in the last throws of that, he had no nose. He wasn't smoking or anything like that, but there was definite. I was positioned over his. I had my camera over the top of his plane, basically, and he had significant damage to the top of the fuselage and then no nose cone, but that was all I could see. Let's watch from Daxter's point of view, because he just... I don't know what happened here. He just, like... puts his nose on Capsu, doesn't do anything, and then goes defensive. And I'm chalking this one up to him not having a radar or a HUD. Because if he was missing his nose cone, I'm chalking that one up to that. And I think he only had one aim 9 left. I don't even know how many he may have had left at that point. He had at least one. I know that. Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember if he had one or was out at that point. So let's jump back into the action. I got to fire up DCS here. Because there's some IC issues with the terrain mod that I run where it throws a shield every time I disconnect. But the server's back up. Are you in it already? Join in right now. Oops, gotta read the password. Get these guys to spool and taxi, and we will jump back into round 2 here. How long have we been going? An hour. Sorry guys, just getting back into the scene here. What would you like to see out of this particular rematch here, Joel? Well, I'd like to see the Hornet do as well as it did in the first one, because that definitely made me happy to see on a personal level. But as far as a pure entertainment factor, I'd like to see I'd like to see them do things very similar to the way they did in the first round, because that provided us with a whole bunch of entertaining moments there. So let's hope these guys can keep it as evenly paced as I feel like it was throughout that last one. I know RVE seemed like they were down on their backs more than once throughout that, but definitely I'd like to see them keep fighting the way they did. Well, I did really like seeing
the Hornet contribute so much during that engagement. That was really cool to see.
I think some of the situations, especially a matchup of this nature where we're getting a lot of these close-in battles, the Hornet is certainly going to thrive in that situation in comparison to, say, the 15. But yeah, like I said, if you got a good GCI, you shouldn't have any problem in blowing that Hornet right now with the state it's currently.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. The only issue that it has right now is its radar. It lacks track while scan.
Yep.
So unfortunately, you're going to get that STT lock warning if the Hornet is indeed locking you up. So to catch back up real quick on anybody that followed, we have Mike Mustard, Conjure, and Pappy Boyington. Thanks for the follows, guys. And Half Inch Soul dropping another $5 donation, man. Half Inch Soul, it's like a habitual weekly thing for you. I think this is
our sugar daddy, dude.
Yeah,
he is our sugar daddy, no doubt about it.
He's what keeps me going. Thank you, buddy. I much appreciated. So we're just watching these guys taxi. We're here at Vody again, watching RVE this time instead of SF. Taxi to the runway. RVE with their 3 F-15s and Singleton Su-27, while SF, to recap, has 4 F-15s, a Singleton J-11, and 1 F-18. So again, to recap, what I would like to see out of these two teams going into this matchup, especially RVE, is for them to maintain a closer proximity to one another, because I think that was their downfall. They were just a bit too separated. And like I said earlier during the tail end of match 1, when we were watching Capsu RTB, they just went head-to-head into these engagements, 50-50 engagements, instead of trying to go into an engagement where they had some type of advantage. And really, guys, you don't want to go into any air-to-air engagement unless you have some type of advantage, because you really don't want to die.
Indeed. And I'll tell you what, I'd like to see from both sides just a little bit more composure. We often point this out, but I feel like I saw a lot of missiles hitting the ground there, falling short. And especially towards the end there, some of those guys were, in good positions to get missile shots, but just didn't have any missiles to do it. And I think, a couple of those shots that, they may have wished they had back, towards the end of that match there.
I think part of it, you have to launch those missiles to put certain guys defensive. If maybe you're not in an advantageous position to press the opposition, you got to put those missiles off the rail onto your opponents, even when you think it's not a high PK shot, or that they're going to defend it and they're not going to get hit. Just because if you don't, they're just going to keep pressing, and you may go into a 2v1 or a 3v1 where your odds are that you're going to die. So
no doubt about it. Sometimes it's definitely necessary to bump some guys back or burn one just for the use of buying yourself some time.
But we did see, and this is something I don't think we see a lot of teams doing, we did see SF using the terrain or low flying ability. We've seen 104th do this before, where if you get low enough, the ER stops tracking you. Now, there were some times, like I think we were spectating Ocelot, where I thought he was going to hit a tree, but I think that it is advantageous to use the terrain masking where the missile and the radar can lose you in the ground clutter, and that's SF used that to their advantage to dodge some missiles in that last round.
No doubt about it. I know myself, that's a go-to tactic of mine if I know I'm going up against one of those, is try to get low and get the missile lost in the ground clutter. There is no doubt that can be an effective tactic.
Now, you do have to be substantially low. I think you have to be like under 10 meters, but
yep.
It is something that you can do, and SF used that to their advantage to spoof some of those missiles to get out of positions where if they hadn't done that, they probably would have died.
And once again, I still point out the interesting choice by SF to, once they went up in the 6-4 advantage, they moved those two fighters north and south. And I think at the end of the day, that was a big, I shouldn't say a big factor, but a factor in their winning that first round.
Well, and let's talk about that real quick, because I thought for sure when we got down to a 6v4 that it was going to be, really when it got down to a 4v2, I thought SF had this in the bag. But what I think happened is SF did what RVE had plagued RVE throughout the entirety of that match, was they went into engagements with Daxter in engagements that they didn't have the advantage, and Daxter capitalized on them and made them pay for it, and brought the odds or the player count down from a 4v2 to a 2v2 and then a 1v1. So again, I think if SF had maybe entered those engagements against Daxter as a 2v1, it may have come out a different way.
I would tend to agree with you there. That assessment makes very good sense. I'm curious if we'll see any deviation in formation, although I tend to agree with you. Both of these squads seem to stick to their guns in that department as far as the opening formations go. Although we do have RVE looking mighty nicely laid out on that runway.
I think we're just waiting on SF to get ready here. They were a little delayed in the taxi and spool.
Yeah, they're still in their stalls.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, one is moving. 5 planes are currently parked on the apron, though, in their spots. I think they're waiting for the 6 to move to them and then taxi from there.
Nope. There goes Bushmani, the first F-15 to go here.
Oh, there we go. Yep, you are correct.
And it looks like they're taxiing down to Razor. And Razor taking the jungle camo on his J11, embracing the pink, embracing his feminine side.
Looks like Capsu has gone to a standard livery as well for the Hornet.
Vitor asked what the highest pinged for the match is, and that's going to be Veritech at 230. Everybody else is under 200. But Joel, I think back to the tactics and stuff, I think, and we mentioned this in round one, what we thought they were going to do different, and you kind of asked if you thought both teams were going to do something different with their tactics. I think we're going to see a lot of the same during this one. RVE may try and stay closer together, but I think we're going to see 3-2 ships after departure, and a lot of the same of what we saw in round one. Chat, what do you think is going to happen here in this particular round, in round 2 of this best of 3 between RVE and SF? And Joel, do you think we're going to see much of the same?
I do. I think, like I said, I agree with your assessment that I think these guys are going to come out and pretty much fly straight at each other in those 3-2 ship formations like we saw. We'll start seeing them pull and peel back as they get close to bullseye and are about to start engaging. You'll see some guys pull back and cover to, put themselves in position to cover the egress at least. And I think as long as, both teams don't get too overly aggressive for whatever X or Y reason in the opening stages of that, then we should see pretty much what we saw in the last one, and hopefully we have an ending in similar fashion, because I definitely enjoyed that.
Well, I think we all hope that we see more guns kills like we did, or more merges like we did in the first round. The question is does the round progress and take long enough for that to happen?
Yeah, there's no doubt that the gun skills were definitely a product of the defensive play by both those teams. Just kind of dragging it out as long as that did.
Chofo87 brings up a good point and says he hopes RVE wins so we have a third round. I'm all with you there, buddy. I really hope that RVE is able to pull this round out only for the reason that we get a third round.
Yeah, the rubber matches are always good.
I'd like to see RVE win anyway, but the selfish reason is I'd like to get a third round out of this.
And I feel like usually the third round is usually entertaining because both squads have seen each other twice, kind of get a feeling for what each other is doing, and you can come out and play things a little differently in that third round.
Just waiting on SF here to finish up taxiing. We're back down here at Vody watching the RVE departure. And this is a big round for RVE. If they don't win this, they drop from their current position down to 4th. Granted, they still advance to the SATAL tournament, but this is a big round for both of these teams, especially RVE. And there is a big difference between coming in 1st and coming in 4th. That's the difference of 2 extra matches that you have to play as a tournament competitor. So instead of your first match being the 20th, I think, of October, it's the 6th.
Well, they definitely, I don't know if they moved their KD ratio with that last one, but they didn't lose any ground on it, that's for sure.
That is a good point. I didn't think about that they effectively nullified the KD ratio with SF during that last round because, well, close to nullifying. SF came out on top by 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anything, RVE only lost themselves a few points, which theoretically, if they came out here, I'm pretty sure at this point, you know, like I said, math is not my strong point, but I'm pretty sure in order for them to be able to still pull off a win in this match and take first place, they would have to win this one, win the next one, and I don't think they'd be able to lose a plane or maybe 1 to 2 planes at most throughout both those rounds. So it's a tall order, I think, at this point. Hey, thanks, DCS Toast. Appreciate that.
So Toast drops 100 bits and says RVE first place. We'll have to see how this all shakes out, but it's definitely a possibility, but they got to get through round 2. And given their performance and how close it was in round 1, that is a definite possibility.
I get the feeling DCS Toast likes putting his money on the underdogs.
Well, Toast used to be part of RVE.
Oh, okay. There you go. That makes sense. Nothing like putting some money on your buddies then. There you go.
RVE taking a really aggressive climb departure out of Mineral Vody on runway 30. And it looks like RVE's doing more of the same, what they did in round 1. And SF looks to be doing what I would assume to be the same thing as they depart Makeup here. Vitor, yeah, I'm using the Afterburner mod. See if we can grab the J11. Well, he's not in gate, so you won't be able to see it. See if he goes in gate here. Well, we might be able to get it out of RVE over here with Tito. Nope. So again, 3-2 ships out of RVE, and what I can assume is going to be 3-2 ships coming out of SF. But right now, SF is way too close to call what exactly they're going to be doing or what formations they're going to be splitting into as they ingress into the AO here.
Yeah, SF really staying tight.
Well, the tighter formations make it much more difficult for the enemies to sort, and especially the enemy flankers. They have a much harder time to deal with the jammers than the F-15s do. Aramissy drops 100 bits and says, sorry, Toast, SF still wins. We've got some competition going on between Missy and Toast here.
You need to get that Streamlabs betting set up with the chat bot, and you can set the currency. That way we can get some gambling going here during this matchup.
Maybe. I've done that in the past, and it's just kind of, yeah.
I usually do it on my stream. I'll let people gamble on whether I'm going to make it through the next one or not.
Webweaver49 drops the tier 1 sub. Thanks, but thank you very much. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. At least I would assume you are if you're subscribing to what we're doing. Guys, just a heads up again to recap for anybody that's hasn't been with SATAL for a while. This is the last matchup of the league. We're going to take a couple weeks off, and then we're going to come back for the tournament starting October 6th. There's going to be, instead of 1 match a day, there's going to be 2 matches a day. And we're going to run every Saturday from October 6th, I think, through the 27th. And instead of the start times being at 1300 Zulu, we're going to back it up to 1500 Zulu. So the first matchup is going to be at 1500 Zulu, and then the second matchup is going to be at 1800 Zulu. So be prepared for that. It's going to be a lot of fun, lots more action. And instead of having a single matchup, we're going to have 2. And hopefully you guys on the West Coast here in the United States have an easier time watching. Instead of the stream starting at 6 a.m. your time, it's going to start at 8 a.m. So these guys are continuing to ingress. I didn't change my units, so we're still in kilometers. 120 kilometers still separating them. And
looks like we're getting some separation here. 2 flight from SF has split off, and then now we're getting a bit more spacing out of RVE.
And that fingertip from SF looking pretty as they ingress into the AO between Bushmani and Snur, as they separate away from the rest of the 4-ship that is now taking a southeasterly heading as they come closer to the AO. So RVE looks to be doing the same thing that they did last time. I thought they formed up into what looked like 2 stingers, but the formations didn't last long enough for me to be able to tell definitively on what exactly happened or what formations they were actually using. But this is different than what we saw last round. There is a separated 2-ship, like we said earlier a few minutes ago, of Snur and Bushmani breaking off and headed northbound, maybe just trying to get RVE to separate and get some confusion, or what it looks like now is Razor and Ocelot going to form up here in the middle, and we may have 3 2-ships forming in a north to south wall.
It certainly seems like that's what they're shaping up to pull off here. And it looks like RVE is also getting themselves situated. Get the feeling we're a minute or so out here from things starting to hit the fan. We'll see. They are certainly getting close.
So separation now is down to 50 kilometers. We should be seeing our first Fox 1s and Fox 3s coming off the F-15s, flankers, and F-18s here in probably 20 kilometers. Somebody may get a little trigger happy and put a missile off at 40 kilometers, but given current day's DCS physics, or missile physics, that's probably not going to be very effective. Half Inch Soul asks, how many weeks will the tournament run? It'll run 4 weeks. So I think 4 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks. October 6th through I think the 27th is how long the tournament will run. Every Saturday. 2 matches a day. So the schedule for the tournament is not posted on the merge yet. It is on the ED forums. Post on the first page. You can scroll down and see it, and you can see who's playing who or what positions are playing what position. But after today's matchup, I'm going to be working on getting the schedule posted and on the merge for you guys to take a look at. So it looks like everything's kind of devolved into chaos here. I thought we were going to see some formations coming on both sides, but it looks like we've got a cluster coming on both sides of this. 120B coming off Daxter. Snooer immediately goes defensive to defend that 120B that got much closer than the one he put on Daxter, but both are going to be safe and dry as those missiles run out of energy as they egress away from that engagement. I think we're going to see more of the same of what we saw here in round 1, where both teams take a very defensive posture as they come in, Fox, split S, and egress away, unless one of them decides, hey, I'm going to defend a little bit later, and then pays for that late defense in eating a missile and dying. But I think we're going to see a lot of the same of what we saw in round 1.
Here we go. We're starting to get a few more exchanges now. Guys bumping each other back and pushing planes where they want them.
120B coming off the rail from Bushmani, and a 120 ER coming off the rail from Razor because he's in a J11. And Cover now puts a 120 onto Razor, but immediately, as soon as those missiles are off, they all split us and egress away. So still that very defensive posture, making sure that nobody dies. But what I like to see on the RVE side is I think we're seeing a much closer knit RVE side, whereas on the flip side, SF is much more separated than they were before.
Yeah, you almost get the feeling if SF wanted to at any point, they could surround RVE and kind of collapse on top of them, but that would certainly get dicey in the middle there.
Yeah, but I don't know that would be the correct move. Because I don't.
No.
AIM 9 coming off of Daxter. That AIM 9 immediately loses track of Snooer up here to the north. And Daxter goes defensive. So again, both teams still playing very defensive. We've got what looks to be developing in a 4v3 down here to the south between Yoli, Razor, Ocelot, and Capsu, and Veritech, Tito, and Snowman.
Snowman shot out on Ocelot.
And that missile going to play a factor? There's the Pitbull, what I can assume Ocelot sees. He immediately defends.
Does he line him up for Tito? But it doesn't look like it.
No. There's an ET coming off from Tito. That missile's going to be dead as that bandit immediately turns cold, or was already going defensive as that ET came off the rail. So 4v3 down here to the south, and what looks to be a 2v3 up here to the north, unless Seal and Cover now from RVE join the southern fight.
And Tito putting one out on Capsu, but doesn't look like that's going to be anything more than turning Capsu back cold.
Well, it's an ET, so I doubt he knows that that's even coming. Maybe he got it. He locked out of ILS coming from Tito launched out of radar. But Tito, seeing both of those DTs, is now out of ETs. So he's got 4 ERs and 4 73s, but he doesn't have any long-range poke ability with those ETs any longer. So 120B coming off the rail from Seal onto Razor. Razor immediately goes defensive. Don't think that 120B is going to have any problem. He breaks lock on the ER that was on Seal, so that missile's dead. But it looks like we now have a 4v4 down here in the south and a 2v2 up here to the north. So still nothing really happening. Both teams still very defensive, but Cover now here may be deciding to press and say, guys, I got this, as he presses in here on Bushmani.
You know, he seems to be going after Bushmani, although now it looks like he's finally starting to get the message and extend back cold with the rest of his squad. But Razor, you know, unless one of either Seal or Daxter gets themselves in position, well, it looks like they are doing right now. I'm going to say Razor may have had himself an opportunity to go at cover now.
And it looks like the fight is developing into north to south fight lines. So as both teams enter a spread formation or a spread posture, as everybody is just line abreast instead of having any depth. Now, will that play any type of role in how this runs out, or this match plays out? So we've got 120Bs coming off from Ocelot on Veritech. They're fired from a distance that if Veritech even thinks about going defensive, he's going to be able to defend against those missiles, and they're going to be a non-factor. But as he extends, Tito now comes in from the east, thinks about pressing Ocelot and Yoli, but decides against it and now extends with his buddy Veritech to the east, back towards Snowman. But if we look up here to the north, Razor puts an ET off on what I think is Seal, but it runs into the ground, and then Razor immediately goes defensive against the 120B that Seal put off on him. And I think we have our first casualty up here. Sneur crashed defending against one of Daxter's missiles. So it's not that Sneur got hit, he crashed. So instead of RVE having the first casualty like they did last round, SF has the first casualty, and we're down to a 5v6 with RVE having the numerical advantage going into round 2.
Interesting. RVE now has the opportunity to capitalize on that advantage here, and we'll see what they can do to try and make that happen.
Hey, and Capricorn, don't be making fun of my Command and Conquer music. It fits the theme decently well. All right, so ET coming off from Razor. Does Tito know it's coming? There's the flares. That ET should be effectively dead. And it looks to be a
120 out
non-factor.
Doesn't look like that's going to play much either.
So again, unlike round 1, RVE has the advantage going into the mid-game here of round 2. However, Snowman seems to be going Rambo against a 3-ship spread of SF. He's locked onto what looks to be Capsu, and I think Snowman's in a world of hurt if he continues to press here.
Veritech is easily 10 to 15 miles behind him. He's not going to be much help right now.
So we're down to 14 kilometers, and Snowman, I think at the very last moment, has decided, I better turn cold, and
he just
does
wanted
so.
To throw a punch.
So him and Capsu exchange 120s, but Snowman almost gets in a little too deep into a position where he may not have been able to recover from, but decides wisely to extend, and instead of getting into a 3v1 is now extending away safely from the 3-ship of SF. But he's still pretty isolated down here to the south. Veritech is taking a 1v2 up here to the north, putting 120Bs on what I can assume is Yoli up here in the center, right over the bullseye. Oh, and we may have a casualty coming from Cover Now. Cover Now has Bushmani all over his 6. He's dropping chaff like a madman. We can see the missile tracking him right behind him, but I think it's out of energy as he continues to extend here. He got really lucky during that engagement as he extended at the perfect moment, as he was going to be in a world of hurt if he maintained a hot aspect there even for a moment longer.
Hey, thanks again, DCS Toad.
So 5 RVE pilots up here to the north and a Singleton down here to the south. And did I miss somebody?
I don't know. I was trying to do the math on that myself just now.
No. Okay. So there's still 5 for SF and 6 for RV. Ocelot, I missed Ocelot because he was underneath the missile. But Ocelot was pressing against Snowman, but decides, I'm in a little bit too deep. I better regroup with Capsu, and decides to turn cold and is now egressing away from the situation. But up here to the north, AIM 7 coming off the rail from Dexter, but it's immediately unsupported, so that missile's not going to do much. But maybe he was just trying to get Bushmani to turn cold. But still, both teams taking a very defensive stance now into the late game of this matchup. ER coming off the rail from Razor. And we can see Veritech staying hot. Veritech, that missile's still going to be tracking. Can see the missile trail down there. He may think it's an ET. I don't think that ER is going to be a factor. No, it's not. It's lost track as Razor's decided to turn cold as he has to defend that 120B. So both teams still very defensive. We could see a first merge between Seal and Ocelot. Nope. Seal's thought better of it and is now turning cold as he may have gotten radar returns of the second pilot of Capsu coming into here to support his teammate of Ocelot.
Just looking around, I feel like we're seeing more composure and definitely more missiles on the bottom of planes at this point in the match in comparison to this point last round. So
well, I think we may just be seeing more composure out of the RVE side. They're keeping their cool. They're not getting into positions where they're not able to defend a missile. They're more level-headed, in my opinion, and they're putting themselves in positions where they have the advantage in this fight.
I'd agree. That's an accurate assessment.
And as I say that, though, I see Cover Now and Bushmani coming head-to-head, and Cover Now is 1v1, but he does get the missile off first, and this could be put himself in a position, and indeed it does, as Bushmani has to defend, but he's got an AIM-9 off the rail. I don't think Cover Now sees it. There's no flares coming off the rail, and Cover Now may be in a world of trouble. This could be the first casualty. Oh! Wow. It barely missed him as Cover Now. I don't know what made him do that, but decides I better drop some altitude, and somehow I don't know what happened. I don't know if he saw it, but he dropped some altitude at the exact moment, and that AIM-9 missed him.
He's in trouble now, though, because he bit off maybe a little bit more than he can chew here, although Yoli's pushing on him. He's got Veritech coming in to back him up, along with Daxter, though, so he looks like he's going to make it out of that fight.
But we're starting to
Ocelot here, deep across the line, down to the south.
Yeah, but Seal's extending. I don't really think that that's a huge problem down here. I think Seal's put himself in a position where he's okay, but Yoli up here to the north and Bushmani could be in trouble now as Cover Now drags to the north as Daxter and Veritech have both turned back hot against the two-ship of SF. So we'll have to keep track of what happens. Cover Now's safe as he extends away from Yoli, but Veritech, I'd like to see GCI pull Veritech off Bushmani and put him on Yoli here. But
and the question is does Snowman or Razor or Tito have Razor coming up on their rear along with Capsu? Down in the south, it's certainly getting, both groups here certainly getting dicey, right?
Ocelot right now, he's in trouble as he's now sandwiched between Tito and Seal, but he wisely turns cold in the direction, really seemingly only direction that he's able to. So we've got multiple ships on both sides in disastrous situations. Veritech is sandwiched between Bushmani and Yoli, and Snowman is being pursued by a two-ship of Razor and Capsu. While we also have Ocelot being pursued by Tito and Snowman. So we've got kind of a train going down here to the south and a train going on up here to the north. So how is this going to play out? Well, I don't know. Veritech's still in a position. He's defending against Yoli. That 120B, that may be a problem. I don't know how much airspeed Veritech has, but he's full gate. That 120B is not going to catch him.
Our nice organized squadron tactics have certainly fallen apart here over the last minute or so.
Indeed.
This has gotten interesting.
These squadron tactics have devolved into chaos. But we see that Seal has recommitted onto Capsu. So we've got a head-to-head going on here between Seal and Capsu. Can we see him?
Ocelot just running for his life still. He's got Snowman and Tito and soon-to-be Seal chasing him, and he's just pushed off the only person who can back up.
Yeah,
Ocelot at this point.
That was well done by Snowman there, pushing off Capsu, and now it's a 3v1 against Ocelot. So we have a 1v1 of Yoli and Veritech over here to the west, and a 3v1 of Seal, Snowman, and Tito against Ocelot. And that ER, that may track down Ocelot. That may be trouble. I think that's got the momentum. He's defensive now. And there it is. And it tracks down Ocelot. The speed advantage of the ER is able to capitalize. Snowman or Tito is able to capitalize on the speed advantage of the ER. It tracks down Ocelot like a hound dog on a rabbit. And he just gets taken down. Now, so we're down to a 4v6.
Pushing real hard on that 3 flight that just took down Ocelot. The question is, can the GCI get them turned around and sorted quick enough that this J11 and F18 don't make quick work of these 3?
And we're actually, I'm sorry, we're down to a 6v3. So
Yep.
I missed Bushmani getting killed. He got taken down. I'm not sure by who. Oh, it looks like Daxter dispatched Bushmani. So we're down to a 6v3. So the tables have turned, ladies and gentlemen. We're seeing the complete opposite of what we saw in round one, where RVE was totally outnumbered during round one. And now Yoli just crashed. So I don't know what happened, but he just crashed. I saw him. He may have disconnected, but he just crashed. And now we're down to a 6v2. And Tito going head to head against Razor. ER coming off against him. Razor wisely gets low, trying to line of sight or confuse that missile. Is he able to do it? Yes.
Kapsu now committing hot, but he's got 3 fighters behind him, 3 fighters in front of him. These two are a sandwich right now, no doubt about it.
But we've got a merge going on here between Snowman and Razor, or a seeming merge, and Razor's going to pay for that one. Yep. He eats a 120 and gets taken down. That missile was so close, there's not much he can do about that. And again, like round one, the F-18, the lone Hornet, the lone survivor.
Point out the kill death ratio. RVE just nailed that round.
They
not
did.
Losing a single fighter so far. Hopefully, they can pull this off here and can come out of it clean. Although
but again, the lone survivor of Kapsu. Kapsu actually dispatches one of the guys, but he's got an aim 9 and he's in full gate. I think, and he did get hit, but it didn't take him down. He's still up. Oh, that one ate him. As his wings say, I've seen better days, and they just blow off.
Wow, that
Man.
one finished strong there.
But
So
RVE
doing what they needed to do, handling business, only losing 1 fighter in the last seconds of that round. Well played.
yeah, that was complete opposite of what we saw during round one. RVE says, man, we were kind of shown the door here in round one. Let's show them what we really can do. And they picked up SF and dragged them kicking and screaming out the door, and they just annihilated the opposition during that round.
Yeah, that was well played. And it seemed like, I don't know what they did to put SF into the positions they did, but it seemed like we had 2 simultaneous knife fights in a phone booth going on there for a second, one to the north, one to the south. And credit to RVE for being able to kind of force SF into the positions they seemingly wanted them in.
But guys, you got what you wanted. We are going to round 3. The match that decides Group B. The end-all, be-all. The pivotal engagement is coming down to one final round. Winner takes all the marbles. I have no idea who's going to take this one. I thought for sure, I was leaning towards SF, and I thought they were going to have this. I thought they were going to take it in 2 rounds. But RVE, I don't know what they said during that powwow between round 1 and round 2, has completely flipped the table. And they came out as like they were a completely different team.
No doubt, no doubt.
That was impressive.
It really was. Like I said, we talked about, before the match, really RVE's got a tall order in front of them to be able to do what they need to do to stay in contention for first place, and they definitely did that. There was, like you said, it was almost as if there was a conversation that took place. We're like, listen, guys, we need to step it up here. We got a shot at this. And boom, they came out and did it. That was impressive.
So let's catch up on some stuff. DCS Toast dropped another 100 bits. Thank you, buddy. I think Joel got you earlier. Half-Inch Soul drops a gifted sub to DCS Toast. So Half-Inch Soul just can't get enough. He's gotta show us how much he loves us. And Soul, I love you. I just want you to know that this isn't a one-way relationship. This is both ways.
Just sprinkling that sugar all over us.
And then we've got a follow coming from Terrian, and the DCS Toast drops another 100 bits and says round 3. And yes, indeed, we are going to round 3, and a decisive one at that. The very end of SATAL, the very end of the league, and how fittingly enough it ends in one final round where we really have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, this should be good coming into this third round here. If we get anything even close to what was in the first two, we will be all set. Be definitely one hell of a way to end the season.
Well, regardless of how this round goes, it's a hell of a way to end this season. I mean, this is
no doubt about it.
This has been a lot of fun. I've said this a couple times throughout the matches. I thought, and I think some other people thought, that I would get sick of casting these matches, but this is like the highlight of my week. I look forward to Saturday mornings. My wife just rolls her eyes when she's home sometimes off of work, and she hears me yelling at my computer downstairs into a microphone at a bunch of strangers that are watching this. She's like, this isn't you. You're stoic. You don't get excited. You don't get excited about anything. But I hear you yelling and screaming downstairs like the most exciting thing in the world just happened, and I have no idea what's wrong with you. So guys, I want to make it... I couldn't thank you guys enough, because without you guys, the viewers, this wouldn't be possible, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this experience as much as I have. And Joel, thank you for joining me. I know you weren't here the whole time, but you've been a big part of this journey, and thank you for joining me along it. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself, but this has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely, no, and thank you for bringing me aboard. I found you guys right around the time when I found DCS, and it's been awesome. I've learned so much, not only just about SATAL and what's kind of going on here on a squadron level, but just about DCS and about flying flight sims in general, just from sitting in on these and kind of having the conversations I get to have with you. It's really provided a great, learning tool for me, and I think a lot of people also get similar aspects from it as well. So definitely a lot of fun, and credit to you for kind of building this thing up to where you have a couple of people pointed that out along the way. It's very impressive.
So just watching these guys RTB, Seal's probably going to be the first one back. We just need one of them to land, and then we're going to go grab the TAC view. And was there something we needed to look at in the TAC view? I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think there was anything strange that happened. We can see Seal starting to power down as he's got Vody in sight. And again, this is like what I think we mentioned last week, that it seems like teams that are on a specific side seem to win. I think last week it was the teams that were on the Sanaki side had a tendency to win, whereas this time, both teams, when they took off at a Vody, won their rounds.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
So if we can see, yep, we can. So we're going to roll on down here to the end of the runway and watch Seal come in, go wheels down. As soon as he touches down and doesn't die, hopefully he doesn't die, then that'll be the end of round 2. We'll give them the win, and we will move on to round 3. Okay. So let's grab Seal here and watch him come in. We will all judge you, Seal, on your approach and your touchdown. How smooth can you be? You look nice and smooth right now. It's actually not a bad DCS with the camera. You can get some pretty cool shots, though the wingtip vortices kind of look like shit. I wish they'd fix that, but
they always seem to appear when you least expect them to.
It does look looks okay, but the DCS looks really pretty.
It's certainly visually stunning. There's no doubt about it. Especially when you get into like the twilight hours, like sunrise and sunset. The lighting is just so nice.
So guys, I want to make sure everybody in chat, we are all judging Seal on his approach. I want to see 10 out of 10s or whatever you guys think he deserves on this landing. He's nice center line, nice and smooth. Air brake up. How smooth is your landing going to be, Seal? How smooth is it going to be? Are you going to bounce? Man, this is really smooth. That looked pretty good. Got a little cockeyed there at the end instead of maintaining that center line, but that was a solid landing to end round 2. So let's go ahead and jump back to the talk show as we see those guys. We see Seal touchdown, so that's the end of that round. I need to grab the TAC view. But Joel, give me your insight while I do some stuff here on the TAC view on what you think went down here.
Well, it certainly seemed like we had, very defensive, much so sticking to the squadron tactics for the first, say, 5 minutes, or probably almost the first half of that second round. And then in about an instant, it all kind of happened. Like when the two dogs get together and just start fighting, it drew into two separate fights, one to the north, one to the south. And like I said, RVE just seemed to make a few key maneuvers in there that pushed some guys around into position for them to be able to control what was going on, seemingly in both of those. Definitely more so to the south than the north, but that instance right there when they were able to force Ocelot out there, and I didn't get a chance to see what happened with Ocelot there. I scrolled down and all of a sudden he was just seemingly way deep across the line into RVE's territory and just found himself getting chased at that point with not enough people to back him up.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that. And I you brought up, you just jogged my memory for some reason. I think one thing we do need to look at in the TAC views is what happened with the two SF pilots. Why did they crash?
Yeah, that
was a little bizarre.
Yep, and curious if there is a reason there.
In
There was
saying
just
that,
technical issue.
Let's go ahead and jump into the TAC view here, and we'll dissect or attempt to dissect what exactly happened during this engagement. So the first casualty, I think, was Schnur. I think he crashed up here to the north, and I think he was defending against Daxter. Where'd he go? Yeah, right there. So what happened? What happened here? Let's watch his flight. Let's see what exactly. So let's put you on there, and you were going against Daxter. Let's have a look at Schnur here. Oh, that is not the view I want. I want this. And what exactly? So he foxes. There goes a 120B, and he starts to descend. So he split S'd. And I don't know what, he just didn't split S aggressively enough during the middle part of it, and then just ran out of airspeed or ran out of G to pull, and then just crashed into the ground. So it was the split S maneuver that killed him when he was trying to egress away from Daxter.
He split S. What was his altitude when he started the split S?
I think it was 9,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be fine, but I think he may have just been too lax the initial point of that split S, and then just ran out of G to pull when he got to the bottom and realized, shit, I'm running out of room. I need to pull more, and he didn't have any more available G and just ate it. So
ground comes up quick.
Yeah, it does. He was the first casualty, and then we kind of go into this defensive merry-go-round where nothing really happens. Nobody really gets in too deep. We can see people exchanging missiles as they think they're going to have some type of advantage. Right there, Tito. He got him pretty deep and then realized, man, I'm in pretty deep and I'm isolated by myself. I better eager. And look how deep Snowman is. He's almost sandwiched between Razor and Capsu, and he's actually past Ocelot. And this is when Ocelot really gets into the shit. This is when Ocelot has problems, because Snowman inadvertently has put himself in a position where he can track down Tito. And Ocelot. And obviously Tito's out in front of him, but Snowman is now effectively a buffer between himself and Tito, which is nice. Tito can now really press Ocelot without really any fear of anybody behind him. And this is when Tito just gets chased down and there's no getting around it. But this is right here. This is the engagement that we missed between Daxter and Bushmani. And I think Bushmani just gets in too deep here and can't defend that 120. And indeed, that's exactly what happens. He's just in too deep. He can't defend it. And that's all she wrote. So that's when Bushmani gets taken down. And if we go back down here to the Ocelot engagement, Ocelot just gets chased down by this ER. He's within like 8 kilometers, and no matter how fast you are, it doesn't matter when you're against the ER. There's no way you're getting away from it when you're that close. It's going to chase you down, and you're going to die because of the amount of airspeed that missile has. Can't turn very sharp, but it's probably going to kill you. So, moving on. We're down to a 3v6 going for it. And this is Yoli. What the hell happened to Yoli? Why did he die?
That was what I was curious about. What led him to get into that position where he was getting chased like that?
I don't know what he like stalls. His engines turn off.
Strange.
I don't know what happened there. Yeah, he just stalled. I don't know. He just slowly loses airspeed and crashes.
Maybe lost the input on a joystick or something.
Maybe.
USB cords can get tricky sometimes.
That's what happened last time. I don't know what happened. What happened there? So then we can see Razor just gets mauled here. I think is that the 120B kills him. He thinks he's got it in a notch, and I think he was too fast and he couldn't do anything about it.
Could you jog it back? I'd like to see what brought Ocelot into that position where he was getting chased down there. Maybe I may have missed it when you were going over it before. I'm on a little bit of a delay.
He goes defensive against Sealand Snowman, and then what ends up happening is instead of extending back to his friends, he goes on. I don't know where he goes. He goes away from everybody, and there's no bandits over there. He just extends the wrong way, and that's
then
where
finds himself into that little,
that's exactly what happens.
Trap, if you will.
Yep. So Razor gets popped, and then Capsu, he takes down Snowman with this 120, but then he eats an aim 9, and then then he dies. There's no defending that. So excellent round 2. We'll have to see if SF is able to fix what happened during round 2 and go back to how they performed during round 1, or if RVE is able to maintain their supremacy after that round 2 and carry on to a victorious round 3 and win the matchup. But I do not know how this is going to shake out.
Do you think we're going to see the defensive play last even longer than it did in that second round? Playing the cards a little tighter than the best both sides going into this next one, just based upon what's at stake?
I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea.
RVE, I mean, I wish I knew the math well enough to give everybody an accurate situation report for RVE regarding their kill-death ratio. But I get the feeling, based upon the results from the first 2, that if they can come out and not lose many aircraft in this final round, that they might be in a position to take first with a win here.
I think they do. I get
the feeling. It certainly seems like the math is close enough to where that could be the case.
Sir Gus says, hello guys, is there a giveaway today? There is no giveaway today. There will be more than likely giveaways coming during the tournament. So just heads up, we'll probably have Keepler on numerous times. I know Iron Mike is excited about the tournament. I'm excited about the tournament. I'm pretty sure Joel's excited about the tournament. I hope you guys are excited. Lots of stuff coming. I have plenty of stuff to give away that I've been waiting on. We're probably going to do it probably on the finals. I anticipate a lot of the hardware giveaways are going to be on the finals. Like I've got a T16000 HOTAS setup that Half-Inch Soul generously donated. I've got Warthog throttle push-through detents to give away. I've got Sky Knights keys, Steam keys to give away. I've got TacView advanced licenses to give away. I've got all kinds of stuff. So I anticipate we'll have some Tomcat stuff. But, we also have the October 7th Tomcat countdown. So I think we might have Heapler on to build some hype around that for round 2, or for the October 6th. And they're saying the scoreboard's wrong, and indeed it is. I need to fix that.
And Sir Gus, I don't believe we're getting the Tomcat on October 7th. I believe we're getting an unveiling of the Tomcat, correct, Moltar?
Well, I have no idea. That's what we think.
Correct. That's the speculation, at least. That's probably how I should label that.
Let the teams know to spool and taxi. We're going to watch SF departure here again, just because Vody's easier to watch. It's more open. We don't have all the hangars getting in the way. or the bunkers or earth mounds like we do at Maycop. Saw Marie asks if we're giving Merlin away for a weekend. Well, that depends on how much you can butter Merlin up.
Yeah, that one's not going to be cheap.
Oh, I thought you were a cheap date.
No.
You're an expensive date?
Yeah, I have fine tastes. I like expensive things, as you all clearly know from my pit. Definitely not a cheap date, that's for sure. I buy purple.
I buy purple. So just waiting on these guys to get in. I honestly have no idea how this round's going to go. I have a slight inkling that we may see RVE continue, but on the other hand, I kind of wonder if SF is going to say, guys, that was embarrassing. Let's, and they just come out guns blazing and take it to RVE.
Yeah, I think there's a solid chance that they sit down and say, let's clean that up. Let's get back out there and give us similar to the first round performance, because they were pretty spot on in that first one. Aside from a few little things in the last final moments where RVE was able to turn the first one, or almost turn that first round back onto them. But I think we're going to see, like I said, very defensive posture from both of these teams coming into this last one. I think both sides are going to do what they can to mitigate the amount of mistakes that are made here. So should be interesting just based upon that.
Okay, so we're just finalizing some stuff here, guys. Waiting for these guys to figure to spool and taxi, and I think everybody's in. Really, we've seen, I think, equal, this is a complete change of topic, but I think we've seen complete or equal footings coming from all the aircraft. I think everyone, including the F-18, which I was kind of skeptical about its effectiveness coming into this match, but every aircraft type has contributed to their team's victory.
Yeah, indeed.
In the past,
it's been a showcase today of the different very available aircraft. I
think in the past we've seen definitive showcases coming from specific types of aircraft, like maybe the F-15 during one round was more decisive than any of the other ones. But in this one, granted, we have more F-15s, but all of the aircraft have gotten decent number of kills. I don't think, talking about that though with the flanker, I don't think the ET has been very effective, but it's been decently effective with its ERs and its 73s.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I will say I would have liked to have seen microvacs out in the baguette. That would have been a fitting touch to the collage of aircraft we have today.
That is true. However, just to talk about that and the Mirage's effectiveness, do we think that not Microvax is a pilot, but do we think that maybe not having the Mirage, because it's not as capable of an airframe, given the air supremacy fighters of the F-15, the Su-27, the F-18, I don't know that it's on that level yet, but I think it's still above the Mirage, and specifically at the number of weapons it can carry. Do we think that RVE not having that has given them, another boost in their combat effectiveness?
Well, I certainly think that's debatable. I think they've been able to possibly extend a little bit more or push a little bit harder in some cases, just based upon that airframe. There's no doubt about that. But whether or not they're more effective, I think is debatable. So Gus, that is an interesting question. I would assume human Rios would be allowed in a competition like SATAL. I would think Moltar can probably allude a little more to that.
Say that again, Joel.
Sir Gus asked, in an event like this, with the inclusion of the F-14 coming up, would Rios be allowed, or would it be a computer Rio?
I think we're going to
be the gesture AI, basically.
I think we're going to force player-controlled Rios.
I like the sound of that.
I think we want this to be a showcase of skill. We don't want there to be any type of intervention by the AI, which is exactly why we wanted LOT ATC. Yeah, you can, well, it's more effective than the computer AI, GCI, but we want this to be a showcase of skill. So because of that, we want, if a plane has 2 slots like a Rio, we believe, at least at this point, that slot needs to be player controlled.
Yeah, I think so. I think that makes the most sense to me, and it adds another, that's another, now squadrons who compete in SATAL, not only do you need to find good pilots, but you need to find good Rios if you're going to run the F-14. I think it just adds this other element and creates a value to a new position within DCS,
Precisely. I think chat wants to see your shirt. Just a heads up. At least I assume that's what they're talking about. But we're just waiting on SF to taxi. They've been a little bit slower than RVE on the taxi going on here.
This is the Oath Nation. My finger is my safety shirt from.
Safety shirt.
It's Black Hawk Down, where he's like, my finger is my safety.
Oh yeah, yeah. So who said that? Half Inch Soul asked. So it'll be 6 planes and not 6 pilots. Exactly. It'll be 6 planes, regardless of how many pilots. I mean, granted, we don't want somebody flying like a C-130 if they had it with 30 pilots, but you get the drift. It's 6 planes, regardless of the number of pilots they need to take. So just watching SF finish taxiing. We'll have to see if Yoli doesn't stall this time. We've seen him stall in both previous rounds. Longbow says he doesn't recall seeing a Matra kill in SATAL. That may be the case, but we may have seen one last week. Because we had 2 Mirages on Ta, and I think they were decently effective in taking down Chinese Festival. I don't remember specifically if we saw a Matra kill, but it's definitely possible that there was one.
Yeah, we did. We did. Both of the gentlemen who flew the Mirages in that one, I feel, did a very good job of holding their shots until the end. And in the late moments, I believe, of 2 of the rounds at least, we saw one, if not both, those Matras come off the rails for the Mirages. But I don't know if there was a kill, but I do know that there was a close call with at least one Matra, I remember.
So the question I have for everybody is, will the F-18 be effective during this round 3? What do we think it's going to do? Not as Capsu as a pilot, but do we think it's going to be effective? Do you anticipate the F-18 getting any kills? I'm just trying to find something to talk about. Do we anticipate it getting any kills here? We haven't seen it really in SATAL at all. Do we see it getting a kill in this last round, wrapping up the league? Granted, it got one in round 1 and round 2. Do we see it happening again? Joel, what do you think?
I certainly think there's a possibility for it. It seems likely. I'll say that. It seems like we're headed in that direction.
Okay, next question. Do we think there's going to be any guns-on-guns action? Do we think we're going to see any just touch the tips this round?
Well, I honestly thought we were there was going to be a good chance of that in the last round, but I think the big difference between round 1 and round 2 was seemed like more composure on the missile shots in round 2. I saw much less wasted missiles, or I shouldn't say wasted, but seemed to be less shots fired in that second round, which I think prevented us from seeing those up close guns kills. And I think if we see as defensive of a matchup as we saw, or the defensive portion last as long as it did in that last round, then I think the probability of seeing a guns on guns or a guns kill is limited in this one. But I really think it's going to come down to how defensive these two squads played this last round.
Does Capsu have 2 guns kills or just 1? I know he got one against Daxter. He might have 2. I don't know. He at least has 1. So fights on, ladies and gentlemen, for the last round of the SATAL League. This is it. This is all she wrote. And again, I don't know how this one's going to come. I give a slight advantage, I would say, probably to SF, because I think they're going to come out of the gate pretty angry after that slaughter they had in round 1, or round 2, excuse me. But if RVE, I think, can weather the storm, if SF comes out aggressive, I think they pose a pretty good chance of taking this round 3.
I would agree with that. And it's been the squad out of Vody that's won both times,
yes.
Right?
So given that particular setup, SF should take this one.
If we're going by the norms, then yes.
Dupont and Communist Ranger, thanks for the follows, guys. Hopefully you're enjoying the show as this week 30 stream finally comes to an end, or starts to wind down as we enter round 3. But this is a must-win for both teams, and this is winner takes all.
Here we go, folks. Last round of the last match of the season. This is what it has boiled down to specifically for RVE in this matchup. They are poised to be able to take first place in their group if they can severely limit the amount of aircraft lost in this fight. So we're looking, I think the most RVE can give up is 1 plane, maybe 2, and I think that's probably cutting it close.
I think we may see a more aggressive stance coming from both teams in here, especially SF during this round, is in comparison to what we saw in the previous rounds. I think they're just going to be amped up after the previous round's loss.
I would agree with that. I think, I don't know, part of me does think that we're going to see a more defensive posture here just because of what's at stake for RVE. I think you're going to see them try to play things a little tighter, make smart decisions, and not overcommit and get themselves, lose a guy early on just being too aggressive. But I think SF, on the other hand, they're in a little bit more of a position to kind of be aggressive in this matchup just based upon what's at stake for them.
So we've got
Lazy
Minix
Seal
B
putting down 250 on RVE.
Minix B dropping the follow. Lazy Seal dropping 250 bits, says go RVE. Thanks for that, buddy. Hopefully we'll have to see how the round turns out. Flynex SRB, thanks for the follow. And DCS Toast says, yeah, buddy, don't call it a comeback, RVE. So I get confused at trying to read these bits. I can't, they're hard for me to read because the Streamlabs, for whatever reason, I guess I just need to read them in chat and stop being a noob. I've never been very good about understanding the Twitch chat ecosystem.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat with you there.
Separation's now down to 150 kilometers, so still got a while yet before these teams come head-to-head and start poking each other.
And it's looking pretty standard for both squads right now. RVE getting spread out like they like to, SF staying relatively tight.
Yeah, they're all taking the same approaches like they have in the previous 2 rounds, it seems like.
I think we're going to see the standard line formation that we get here along Bulls. Probably 7 or 8 miles separation between the 2 sides, and then they'll start sniffing each other, and we'll get that first opening round of shots, and we'll see how long it lasts, keeping those postures the way they are before we start getting really into the deep throes of this.
Separation now is down to 125 kilometers, so getting a little bit closer. Still got a decent amount of time. RVE looks to be taking the same approach like they did in round 1. SF is starting to separate into their 3-2 ships. Bushmani and Stu are going south. Razor, Ocelot in the center, and Capsu and Yoli up to the north. Snowman and Seal in the center, with Veritech and Tito down to the south, and Daxter and Cover now up to the north.
SF now really starting to get that line formation going. They're pretty much all abreast of one another and starting to space out. It's going to be interesting how the 3-2 ship formations of RVE begin to deal with that. And it looks like we're getting cover now, breaking off from Daxter.
Yeah, we've seen this. We've seen this happening in the first 2 rounds, where Cover now will break off and then come in a trail position behind Daxter and the other 2 ship of Seal and Snowman.
And I wonder, and it looks like another of the pair, or of a singlet from one of the other 2 pairs is now starting to turn back as well.
SF looks like they might be changing it up here slightly, as the 2 ship of Ocelot and Razor is now headed southbound. This isn't something we saw really in the first round here, or the first or second round here.
Yeah, they are quite close to Bushmani and Snur, who are rather spread out.
Separation now is under 100 kilometers. We're down to 70 kilometers, so we're getting much closer before we reach poking range. Snowman and Bushmani, are possibly Capsu and Yoli, are probably going to be the guys that poke each other first.
Quite a bit of tension here. It's going to be interesting to see who pulls this one off. Certainly a lot on the table for RVE right now.
Separation is now down to 40 kilometers, so much closer now, and I think Bushmani's pressing and leading the engagement for SF, and Snowman's leading it for RVE. But again, there seems to be no structure to SF's ingress formations. While this is the first time I've seen a lot of structure coming from RVE, we're in 2-3 ships as they ingress here. They have depth to their formation. Now, whether this is maintained through the first pass, I don't know. But I do like to see this.
No, definitely looking clean from RVE right now. And I do like that. That formed up very nicely. And I'll tell you what, SF unorthodox approach here now. And the 2, here we go, shot out from Yoli and Snowman and Bushman. Everybody shooting, turning gold.
Yeah, all these missiles are going to be non-factors as they come in. Snowman turns cold a little bit later than everybody else, but that 120B is going to be a non-factor as it continues to chase him. It's not going to have the energy to keep up with him.
Putting together a line here and then using those 2 down at the bottom to back that up. I'm struggling to see what their tactics is right now with those 2 down at the bottom.
I don't know.
It seems like SF likes to let 4 main guys do the fighting and then back them up with 2.
Well, we could just see a
comparison to some of the
4-ship
others.
box down here to the south and then a normal 2-ship up here to the north. That's
Yeah,
what
fair.
it looks like
Yep.
is unfolding here. But
Yeah,
whether
it's
the
starting to
shape
shape
is
up like that.
maintained by both sides, I don't know. Because we can already see on the RVE side, the shape has seemingly disintegrated as the first pass came to fruition.
Well, splitting it up into 2 separate fights, I think, worked to RVE's benefit the last time. I'm not sure if that was something they intended to do or how that just kind of worked out. But I think we may see SF seeming like they're trying to spread this into 2 different engagements.
Long ER coming off the rail from Razor on Veritech, who immediately turns cold. It's going to be a little bit too far, but we've got a closer engagement up here to the north between Capsu and Yoli, and cover now and Seal. Seal turns cold, but Capsu may be in trouble here. That 120, that second one may have enough energy to catch him. No,
He is dancing.
it was notched, so he's clean.
Yeah, he pulled that off. He had 3 120s, or at least 2. I think the other one is tracking Yoli.
That got a little dicey there for him getting into that.
Yep. Now we have RVE for the most part clustered up, and it almost seems as if SF may have gotten what they wanted here with the 2 RVE, with the 2 squad of Cover Now and Daxter separated to the top with Capsu and Yoli, and the other 4 seemingly working south of Bullseye.
Yeah, but I seem to remember that this is how round 2 progressed. That we had
It
this lower 2-ship or 4-ship down to the south, and then we had a 2-ship engagement up to the north, or it was a 4-ship up north, and then it was a 2-ship down south, but it transitioned into equal numbers and on all fronts. And I think that's what RVE wants, at least in my opinion. I think they need to try and not necessarily draw this out, but just capitalize on these advantages as SF separates, like this engagement between Bushmani and Snowman. They need to capitalize on this separation, or Veritech and Razor, as Razor separates down here to the south. Snowman Bushmani getting really low, almost touching his wingtip to the ground, as he defends that 120. That 120 is not going to really care about how low he gets. The 120B off Ocelot could pose problems for Ocelot on Veritech. You better drop some more chaff there, Veritech. That thing's going to have plenty of energy by the time it reaches you.
No.
And Veritech, again like round 1, is the first casualty in almost an instant replay of the same way he went down during the first
Yes,
first
that
matchup
was
between these 2 teams.
Very similar indeed. Almost the same location, for that matter.
Cover Now is going to be defending a 120B off Yoli. He seems to be okay. So we're down to a 5v6. SF having the advantage here, going into the mid-game of round 1. But Razor has effectively isolated himself down here to the south. He's a 1v3 against Tito, Snowman, and Seal.
Can RVE take advantage of that, though? Ocelot coming in right now. It seems like... No, it looks like Bushmani is now coming in. I thought maybe he was going to assist that fight in the north, but it seems like we still have a 4v3 to the south and a 2v2 to the north. 120 and aim 7 out from Snowman, and you gotta think that 7 was a waste because he had to turn real quick
it
on
was
it.
launched from a long way away, too. And that 120B, he launched it effectively when the bandit was already cold, so I don't know what he was trying to gain from that. Maybe he thought Razor would recommit into it and catch him by surprise.
Indeed, yeah.
But if we look here up to the north, Yoli has isolated himself. So we've got 2 guys all by their lonesome on the SF side. Razor to the south and Yoli up here to the north.
Daxter needs to keep pushing that group, and if he can do that, he's going to give Cover Now a decent bit of room to work on Yoli up there. It doesn't look like Yoli has anybody but Capsu who can really come up to assist him right.
Is that 120B going to pose a problem for Bushmani? No, he got that into an effective notch, and that thing is dead. So Razor and Ocelot have now turned back in together to try and take on this 2-ship of Seal and Snowman. Are they going to be able to press here? ET coming off of Razor. Does Snowman see it? There's no flares coming off of him yet. You can see the missile trail off there to the right. He does see it. It is spoofed, effectively. But Ocelot is keeping his press on. Nope, he's decided to turn cold. Is that 120B going to pose a problem for Razor? No, it's been notched as well. So we've come into a stalemate here. Nobody getting anywhere. Nobody getting close enough to really cause any harm. Both teams are turning cold when they think they're in harm's way. Haven't really seen a fully supported semi-active missile yet.
No, we have not. Looks like Seal and Snowman have themselves a decent fight with Tito coming in to back them up versus Razor and Ocelot.
Yeah, I do like to see that. Seal and Razor are now head-to-head.
Oh, wow, yeah.
This is our first engagement, our first merge situation. I don't think Snowman or Seal sees him. There goes what I can assume is a 73. It goes into the ground. Ocelot may be in trouble. That 120B may catch him. It's coming down from altitude. Oh, he went into the ground. And again, maybe that's desync. Not really sure. But I thought we were going to see a casualty there. But an ER coming off a Tito on the Razor. Is he able to get that into a notch? Is he low enough to make that missile miss him?
Whoa. And another one coming, though. He evaded the first one. The second one's going to be tough, though.
He dodges that ER, and this is him being low enough that those ERs are effectively dead, but he's not low enough anymore, and that ER that's on his 6, it pops him. And he said,
lost 2 there.
Yeah. Did we?
We lost 2 there. I don't know what.
We did? No.
We lost the red fighter that shot at that blue fighter just now. I missed the name.
Oh. Who was that? Tito.
Yep.
Tito went down. So we're down to a 4v5 there.
And Tito was killed by Ocelot.
Yep. I'm sorry, guys, we missed that Ocelot exchange, but we've got another head-to-head engagement coming between Snowman and Bushmani. Snowman pressing in here. He's going to try and notch that 120, but that 120 is going to be a problem. I think we saw it hit the ground right behind him as he drove that one into the ground, but Bushmani wisely continues the press as we're now a 2v1. Snowman sandwiched between Ocelot and Bushmani as Seal comes in to help his brethren. And Snowman's in trouble. He's got a 120, and that pops him right in the face. So Ocelot, does Ocelot eat that same 9?
Whoa.
No.
Bushmani's got a 120 on him head on right now. Does he see it? Oh, yeah. He's trying to get away.
So Bushmani, already of being hit, takes another one, and we're down to a 3v4. So 1v1 down here to the south between Ocelot and Seal, and 2v3 up to the north. Does Seal see Ocelot here? There's altitude separation between the two. They've got to get GCI talk on to be able to see each other. This is going to be the pivotal engagement here.
Someone's got a 7 out on Yoli right now that's got momentum.
Yoli may have a problem with that AIM-7, and he does. He's still up. He's missing part of his wing. I think he's combat ineffective here at this point. We may be down to a 3v3.
We are. He's down.
I think I saw a missile come up of Ocelot. Indeed, I did, but it is... Yep. Seal takes it and goes down. We're down to a 2v3 now. Daxter and Cover now repping for RVE, and Snooer, Capsu, and Ocelot repping for SF. Who's going to come out on top during this one? We're essentially seeing a replay, more or less.
RVE needs to capitalize while Ocelot's out of the picture right now. I don't know why they're sending Daxter down on him and letting Cover now go. We
got to see Cover now come out down here with Daxter. You don't want to isolate. Unless they're that confident in Daxter's abilities that he was able to capitalize on the 1v1. But this is effectively the same thing that we saw during round 1.
Snur and Capsu almost ignoring Cover now coming in at them. I'm curious. I want to start checking the ordinances here and see who's got what left.
I don't think Daxter... Everybody's kind of tumbleweed here. I don't think they know where anybody is. We're just going to see regroups coming from everybody.
At most, we're looking at one missile per plane,
But
maybe
Sneur,
two in one.
oh, no, Sneur is in a world of trouble. His cover now is bearing down on Sneur. And Daxter now is coming in on the 9 line of Ocelot. Oh, he doesn't see it, but Sneur, he's got an aim 9 on it.
Wow.
And he eats the aim 9.
Still ticking.
Is he combat effective still?
RVE's pulling them in different directions right now. Give him credit. They're doing pretty good at this for being split up and really making SF make decisions on who they're going to pursue right now.
That's a shame that aim 9 didn't splash Sneur.
Yep.
Sneur's now head-to-head with RVE Dexter. There's an aim 7 coming off the rail against Sneur. And Sneur's dead.
Good.
Yep, Sneur's dead. Flare that. There's the aim 9. He gets by it. So Daxter now is in a 1v1 against Capsu with Capsu all over his 6, and Cover now has Ocelot all over his 6.
Only one aim 9 left for Capsu.
And it's off the rails. Daxter, you better flare. There's the flare, but it's too late. And Daxter eats it, but he's still up. He is still up. Now Cover now up here with Ocelot. Let's watch this engagement. Missile off onto Cover now. He gets splashed. So Ocelot takes down Cover now in the north. And Capsu dispatches Daxter down here to the south.
Win. Valiant effort by RVE to try to hang in there. That was impressive, and they definitely gave us a show there, no doubt about it.
That got exciting. That got exciting real quick. Down here in this match 3, or round 3 of match 30, wrapping up SATAL. And
yeah, what a way to finish it out there. That was awesome.
That was seemingly a replay of round 1 with the exception of Ocelot living through that engagement. So maybe I credit SF learning from round 1 where Ocelot died to Daxter. And it didn't happen this time, and they were able to capitalize on that situation.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That was very impressive. And credit, the Hornet has been one of the last planes in every single round. I mean, he was, if not 1 or 2 of the last planes every single time.
Absolutely. The Hornet has been hugely effective during this matchup. Capsu has really been, even though he doesn't have track wall scan, has been very effective in using the tools at his disposal to dispatch the RVE team. He's gotten numerous kills. How many kills did he have during that round? Easily 1 or 2. Man, I didn't realize that. Ocelot, 5 kills.
Wow.
During that round.
Impressive.
So Ocelot, MVP.
Indeed.
Of round 3 there.
Certainly the ace flight.
Showing everybody how it's supposed to be done. Dispatching 5 RVE combatants. Let's not forget about Capsu. He did get a kill, but 5, man. I think I was excited about who was it? Red Core 6 getting 4 in last week's round, but Ocelot coming out of nowhere, showing people who's boss in the last round of SATAL of the league play of 2018. Granted, we do have the tournament next week or next month, but damn, what a way to finish.
I mean, almost took out the whole side himself there. Might as well have told the squad mates to sit this one out. That was impressive.
Guys, I got this. Just don't even bother taking off.
Back. Right? Save the fuel. And the Vody wins again.
That's weird.
So I don't know why the eastern side, I feel like, seems to do whatever the eastern airport is, seems to be the beneficiary of some luck, I think, at the end of the day. Because we've talked about it enough to where there's really not one of these locations that gives some sort of significant advantage over the other one.
Absolutely
There's no reason as to why Minvodi, the team flying out of Minvodi, would win all 3 times. It's just really not. It's just an interesting statistic, I think. Well, certainly going to make the playoffs that much more interesting now. I'm almost excited to see if these two teams will come across each other in the playoffs, right? Because they are both Group B, I believe. So there is a chance we might see these two play again.
Possibly. I think SF solidifies their position in first place.
I believe so.
With 13 points?
I don't know. They lost quite a bit of aircraft today throughout.
Yeah, but I don't think they've lost, and they'll win based solely on points.
Correct. They have 4 wins, 1 draw, as we're in Sky has 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss.
SF will take first based solely on their points.
That will put... I think that might put SF and 36 Virtuale. No, I think the KD ratio might have that. I don't know. I'm going to need to kind of sit down.
I think what ends up happening is InSky takes second, 36 takes third, and I think RVE takes fourth.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That being 3, 0, and 2.
That is how that's all going to shake out. And guys, we're just waiting for these guys to RTB. Look like they're okay on fuel. Ocelot's still pushing full mill as he RTBs back to Bodhi. We can see Bodhi there off in the distance. We'll go over the TAC view, and then we're going to have a quick interview with the winners, Bushmani and Ocelot. Ocelot, the one-man wrecking crew himself, says he's going to join us, and we're going to talk about with them from their perspectives how this particular match unfolded. So, and then we'll wrap it up, and we will come back after the couple-week break on October 6th for 2 rounds. But remember, we are going to be going live at 1500 Zulu and 1800 Zulu instead of 1300. So make sure you remember that, because it's a 2-hour later window.
You tell me I get to sleep in a little bit?
Sleep in? It's like 9 o'clock there when you start. I've been up since like 5:30. Yeah, I don't sleep anymore. 5:30 sleeping in for me.
I had a little bit of a late start this morning. I was struggling.
I think you tell me that every week, Joel.
Yeah, no, well, it happens.
Ryan,
it's gonna be fun.
I just got off the struggle bus. Just give me a minute. I gotta groom my mustache. I gotta stick it on my face.
Yeah, it's stuck on pretty good this morning. Although I could use some wax, that's for sure.
So Ocelot bringing it in here, bringing it home for the SF team. As soon as he touches down, we will wrap this one up, jump to TAC view, and see how these teams shook out.
Well, I can honestly say I think definitely this week, last week's right up there with it, but this week was probably my favorite one I've called so far. This was really entertaining and a lot of fun.
Well, I think this week was the best, most exciting matchup, but last week's round 1 was nuts.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
It was chaos.
1v3 with the 1 coming out on top is tough to beat. That's a pretty epic moment, no doubt about it.
Overhead break coming from Ocelot, I assume, doing the flyby. Ocelot, remember, you still got to land. Let's hope you both don't crash. Giving us a little bit of an air show, going completely vertical as he comes in here. Let's recap here on the latest follows. Coffee Whore, I like that name. T. Kennedy, both dropping follows with Hammer Pavel. Welcome to the stream, guys. Hammer Issy saying, what did he say? Let's see if I can see it so I can read it right. I don't see his bits. Says, let's meet at the market square. DCS Toast dropping another 100 bits. Says Ocelot and less buys means more changes for and to cheer for RVE. That's true. So TCS Toast evidently likes that he's going to get to watch RVE more matchups for them. And
I can get behind that.
Lazy Seal says Bits War when he drops 300 bits. So guys, everybody that's dropped bits so far, all of the subs, thank you very much. This is a... Well, I thought Ocelot, I was going to see a straight-in approach coming from Ocelot, but not yet. That was going to be a cool landing like the Raphael I thought I was going to see. There was an air show where a Raphael went full vertical and then just off of the bottom end of it just came right in and it looked really pretty. But he is indeed going to put it down.
I saw that recently. That was very... I wasn't sure what I was looking at, and then I was like, oh, wow, he's landing that. That's impressive.
And he puts it down. And that's all she wrote. SF clinches the victory 2-1 in a butt clincher.
I know
that was a butt pucker. Man.
Not easy one by any account. That's for sure.
No, that was... Yeah. Let me get stuff set up. What'd you think? Pros and cons from both teams going there. What was your input there while I get the TAC view set up?
I feel like we got what we were asking for. Certainly, it wasn't nearly as defensive. It started out as defensive, like I thought it would, but it certainly devolved into more of a dogfight there, or a traditional furball as we're used to seeing, rather quickly. And I think SF did a pretty good job of holding composure, holding position, and trying to force RVE into some situations that they maybe weren't as comfortable being in. But credit to RVE, because they certainly didn't just lay down and die on that one. They lost a fighter early and kept with it throughout that whole round.
Yeah, they did. That was a pucker till the end. And saying that, let's go ahead and jump and view the TAC view here. Recap what exactly was going on. So I liked, and I commented on this initially during the stream, or during the match, I liked the initial formation that we saw coming from RVE. On the opposite side of the coin, it just looks like SF, and maybe there's some sort of structure going in here, but for lack of a better word, it just kind of looks like a cluster as we go in here. And they ended up taking it, but it just didn't look like there was any way, shape, or form as they were coming into this engagement. So the first casualty, I keep saying that this is a replay effectively of round one, but this is identical to round one of how Veritek died. Like, he exactly how he died.
Exact same position and
120B came off the rail.
Maneuver.
He tries to fox late, and then he just doesn't defend, or defends too late, defends left, and then he eats a 120 and dies. Like, it is to a T exactly how he died in round one.
Do you think that's just, lack of situational awareness in that moment, or just holding on a little too tight?
I think it's just holding out too tight, too long, and trying to get that kill. So here's our second kill that comes on Tito. This is the one we missed with Ocelot, and I think this is the same thing with Tito. The same thing. He just keeps it too late and then dies and eats it. So their first two kills, or deaths from RVE, they just waited too long. They didn't defend early enough, and then we see Ocelot wins this merge on Seal on a 2-circle. Seal, I think, just loses. This was an altitude separation here, so let's watch it from Ocelot's point of view. And I think this just came down to altitude separation and not seeing where his opposition was, I think. So he comes into the engagement. Yeah, there's altitude separation. And right here. So Ocelot doesn't see or knows where Tito is. Or excuse me, where Seal is. But there's altitude separation. So Ocelot has the better sort initially and gets the missiles off early. And then Seal has to defend. And he has to defend and he just dies at that point. So Ocelot wins the 2-circle there. It's down to a 2v3 as Daxter and Cover now are trying to do the best they can. And I think it was just a lack of situational awareness here. Daxter and Cover now both had advantageous positions. Cover now even hit somebody. I don't remember who he hit. But hit someone. But they just weren't able to capitalize. Capsu takes down Daxter, gets on his 6, takes him down into deciding factor, and then Ocelot is able to capitalize and takes down Cover now, and that's all she wrote. And that was the end of round 3. So guys, in saying that, I'm going to drag Ocelot and Bushmani down here. We're going to have an interview, or not necessarily an interview, but hear what they have to say. And we'll go from there. So guys, give me a second. We're going to hear what they have to say, and we'll go from there.
User was moved to your
Ocelot,
channel.
you there? Ocelot.
Oh, hello. Yeah, I'm here.
Should I grab Bushmani?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
User was moved to your channel.
Bushmani, are you there?
Yep.
All right. So, guys, congratulations on your win. You solidified your position at number 1 in Group B. And Ocelot, man, I've got to credit you. You just, that last round, 5 kills. That was...
Oh, yeah, thanks, man.
You put everybody on your shoulders. That was impressive. So can you guys, and Bushmani or Ocelot, it doesn't matter who, can you take me through this whole matchup starting in round 1? What was your guys' focus coming against RVE? What was your guys' ideas for trying to come in? You know, how did round 1 unfold? Well, let's just start there. Take me through before the match and then round 1.
Yeah. Actually, I can give kind of our intentions, but Mike Juliet was the guy acting as fighter controller, so he can give a much better view about what happened. But the 2 first rounds, our general idea was to just kind of have 3 grinders and look for opportunities and then strike if we see something. But at least from my point of view, it kind of seemed to be too passive, and we didn't get any opportunities to surprise.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of when in the second round we realized that our tactics were maybe a little bit too slow or not aggressive enough, so we just kind of reverted to something that like we know that works. So that's something that we've played, a style that we played before, and it worked out.
Now, did you think that, you know, maybe not being able to get the surprises, did the terrain have anything to do with that? Because it's flat, you can't necessarily hide.
Oh, I was able to use the terrain myself, especially in the last round. I don't think I would have gotten all those kills if it weren't for those little hills there. So, yeah, I was using a lot of sneaky breaky tactics to get in and shoot them close.
So,
and they just didn't get me.
Obviously, you guys had a nail biter in round 1. Capsy was able to capitalize on the abilities of the Hornet to win a couple merges there at the end. What happened during round 2? Like what?
Drag Mike Juliet, he can explain.
Okay.
User was moved to your channel.
Mike, you here?
Yep.
I was told to drag you down because you may have a better... You were running GCI for everybody. So the question that I asked was, you guys had a nail biter in round 1. Capsy was able to pull it out in a couple merges, capitalizing on the close-in abilities of the Hornet. But what happened in round 2? Because it seemed like you guys just disappeared. Like the situational awareness just kind of vacated from the SF side. What exactly happened during that round?
Yeah, what basically happened is I got tunnel visioned on the Ocelot situation, because for some inexplicable reason, I never realized that, hey, I've got Ocelot, who can take care of himself, dragging 3 hostile aircraft out of the fight, and then for some reason I'm trying to get Kapsu and Razor on those 3 bandits, where I could have just turned them around and then 5 on 3 killed all the rest and then engaged the 3 remainings. That was completely on me, the second round.
Well, it was a little difficult, and I think people underestimate how hard it can be as a GCI to juggle multiple engagements when you're looking at something else and you're looking down south, and you kind of get... Your brain kind of gets overloaded, and sometimes you make mistakes, and I guess that's what you said happened. So take me through, did you guys have a chat about maybe what you guys could do better in round 3? What was your game plan going into round 3 here?
On round 3, we decided we will be more aggressive for the match. So
SF tactics.
Yeah, pretty much standard SF tactics. So on round 1 and 2, we tried to play a bit more defensively because we were aware that our enemies are going to try to sort of bring in a bit of chaos.
Right.
So if we can manage to keep our own composure, then we can play out the situation a bit more easily. Well, that sort of worked on round 1, and I guess that would have been a much clearer victory if it weren't for a couple of sort of, I wouldn't say easy deaths on our part, but anyway. And then round 2, I think that our opponents were more aware of our defensive tactic,
Right.
and then it pretty much just boiled down to for some reason I saw the situation, but I didn't realize to capitalize on the success that Ocelot made by dragging the three
Right.
guys down there. And then for the third match, we sort of hot-washed that second round immediately and thought of what went wrong and what to do next, and then we decided we'll try to go a bit more aggressive and try to focus on getting our own aircraft hot sooner and not let the opponent side sort of take their bearings and keep up with the fight.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Bushmani and
Can I just
Ocelot,
add one thing
go
in?
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all this is basically an overview of how important mentality itself is in these sorts of competitions, because we for the round 3 we had to have like a complete mental reset and just concentrate on the actual fighting itself and being, you know, flying with our lead guys and doing the best that we can as individuals and also by supporting the others. So it's a lot to do with mentality, and round 2 was just a clear sign of, you know, our mentality not being, you know, in the right side.
I definitely agree with that. And I think just what you're describing there was present from where we sat and watched that throughout those 3 rounds, where you guys could see the round 2 was out of the norm from what you guys usually bring to the table. And by going back to that in round 3, you guys were really able to bring it together and pull it off.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any, I'll wrap this up by saying, do you guys have any game plans or anything going into the tournament in October? You guys have any teams that you're kind of worried about running into, or do you guys have any, or are you guys playing that all pretty close to the cuff and not really wanting to share what you guys are looking at doing?
Well, I'm kind of bummed with the teams we got to play in this league, because we would really like to fly against 104th and 51st.
Right.
Well, already before the finals. So I'm looking forward to getting some fight with the heavyweights.
We'll have to see how the seeding all goes, but you guys coming in first, I don't think will fly until the 20th, I think, of October. So you guys have a little bit of time to prepare yourselves. But do you guys have anything you want to? Yeah, that's something I've noticed with you guys, and we'll wrap it up shortly after this. That you guys do have some new faces that I haven't seen before. As SATAL has progressed, there's been some new additions to the SF roster, if you will.
Yeah, we have had last spring we had a instructor training for our veterans, and then they have been now instructing and bringing us new guys into the team. So we are trying to get more people in, so that first of all we can have more people in the trainings, so that previously we mostly had 2-on-2 fights, and that shows up on our tactics that we are really good on small fights, but when there's big fight it's more confusing for us because we don't have as much opportunities to train for that.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Before I wrap this up, do you guys have anything else you want to say?
Well, thanks for the event and all the people who watched. So I'm really appreciating of all this, and it was a really fun time for all of us.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we had really nice fights with everyone. Every team we got to fly with. I'm looking forward to do it some more.
Well, guys, I'll wrap this up. Congratulations, SF, again on your victory here in Week 30 against RVE, clinching first place. RVE, great matchup. You guys flew really well. Brought it down to the very end. Honestly, I had no idea who was going to win this. But It's been a lot of fun. This brings us to the end of league play for week 30. The end of league play for SATAL. We're going to take a couple weeks off. We'll catch you guys back on October 6th for round 1. Make sure you guys check the merge, splash1gaming.com/merge to see the schedules. You can check the Splash One Gaming Discord, but make sure you check for schedules. Make sure you also remember that the time for the next start on October 6th is 1500 Zulu and not 1300 Zulu. So I'll try and get the schedule sorted, and especially for you guys, SF, and all the teams competing, so you guys know when you